They all make that up.
Hidden, forgotten. This is Harbor Town.
Yeah.
Harbor Town is an all-new series from Miniature Building
I got a
Authority,
bunch of
the
this
leader
stuff,
in
too. This stuff's
tabletop
awesome.
gaming scene.
More
Unique,
NBA.
flexible, and playable. Harbor Town will take your games to its destination.
I am not getting you on my headset. Hold on. Hold on, that's me. It's my bad. One sec.
And if I need to
There we go. I got you on my headset now. That was my
Alright.
bad again. I didn't shut that in Zoom. What's up, Rex? Coming out of the oven. Ah, it's alright. There's ass hurt. I mean, ass shirt.
That's for the man.
Can you guys hear us? And don't say no, Rocks.
That's for the
Yeah,
man.
there you go. Alright, we're good. Awesome.
Hey, boo boo, I got a something on my rectum.
Awesome.
Roxifarius, man.
Yep. Very good mod for me. Moderating is majorly important on Twitch.
Yes, it is. My daughter had a Twitch channel, and it got just wacky.
Oh,
My daughter
streamers
is-
get really bad.
My daughter
That's a
is
shame.
stunningly beautiful. Not that I'm, partial or the Metcalf name or Metcalf genes or whatever, but man, she had some problems.
I need new Reapers. It's been an announcement for 6 months.
Miniatures. Dun, 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 dun.
Hey,
It's not healthy.
I get to roll my pink dice tonight. Yeah. That's a lot of places. Now I hear the PA's got a real hot spot. I wonder if it's Philly or where it is.
Yeah, man. Even out here in the sticks of Maine, it's looking a lot of like Finn and Jake Adventure Time stuff, man.
That's crazy.
And I mean, there's only I don't even know, like 2,000 people in my town, and even the hardcore John Wayne, like, we can work through it, Pilgrim, are like are second guessing it, like, hey,
Yeah, it's you gotta slow it down. So.
yeah. A treasure trove of TP, nice. That's like the toilet paper
Comes
is
down.
like being in prison with cigarettes now,
There he is, the ever mysterious.
Hello,
Say hello to Lloyd.
Lloyd.
Hello to Lloyd.
Nice to nice to meet you,
What do you got on there? Oh, you got the Rough Rider shirt on. That's okay.
JB Ruff. Yeah, hold on one second.
I got my North Texas RPG con.
Oh, that's gonna be like what if? Oh, there he goes.
I just talked to Doug today about con stuff, and it's on a razor's edge.
Yeah.
Even if they open up the state of Texas and say, okay, we got to gather, that a lot of people just aren't going to go, and I think myself included. I need to be here for my family. My mom's immunocompromised. My wife, we got shit to do. We got chickens. Yeah.
Welcome screen.
Emphasis on the old.
Ah! Tell me about it. All of us.
It's not just the years; it's the mileage.
Well, then don't worry, Anna. Though when Alyssa comes on, she'll just balance it right back out again. So. Wait, nobody tell Alyssa I said that. I love Alyssa though. I mean, she's a magical map maker. and she's always ready to talk about art stuff. You know.
Everyone, welcome Lloyd to the show. We're almost ready to roll here. Hopefully everyone's doing very well. Hopefully everyone's staying safe. This will end up end another week, as we all know that Twitch thinks Sunday is the end of the week instead of the beginning of the week. But that's the way we got it. That's the way we got to roll with things here, you know. So
You get all the Fail Squad Games product on the splash screen.
almost, man. I see. I like I said, I take things seriously. I take my research seriously. So does Tim. So we got a lot of questions, a lot of things going on.
That Annihilation Rising adventure was a fun one to make, man.
That's great. Well, we're gonna ask about all of it. I mean, I got a whole list of stuff to talk to you about.
It was loaded with Tarrasques.
Oh my! Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh my god. What's up, Shade? Look at that. We are
Trying to get this thing oriented.
Shade Mage is casting shade.
So we are at our normal 1 minute before. So here we come, guys. Well, Jay hit the right buttons. So far, all the right buttons have been hit. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jay, aka Lord Gazumba. How are you today? Hopefully everything is well. And I have with me to join me in the. And I'm going to say interrogation because we're not that way here. We just want to say, welcome, the ever mysterious Tim, another old school DM, and then last but not least, and most importantly, a very special guest tonight, Lloyd Metcalf. Welcome.
Well, you know,
Lord Lloyd Metcalf.
I like that.
The Asteroid Bear Doodle just came up too.
Yes, perfect. I mean, guys, a little quick story. So we're on Legends and Lore, and I said, "Hey, Lloyd, you want to check out what, the style and what we're all about?" And that second, the story goes. We had the Ashurt the bear story came up, and it was freaking hysterical. So. Lloyd must have. What, you just drawed? You just drew it, right? You drew it.
Yeah, I was just doodling while I was kind of watching the show. Off the side.
Yeah, and did it, and then send it to us right in the middle of the show, and it was like awesome. So I appreciate that, and thank you so very much for coming on. So tonight we're gonna chat about a lot of old school. What Lloyd's doing, what his company Fail Squad Games is up to, and we're gonna get into the turkey on like what we do special rules wise, and a little tricks of the trade in 1E and 2E. So Lloyd, welcome. Let's start with this. When did you start playing? How'd you fall in love with D&D? And just tell us, a little brief history about your journey.
How did I fall in love with D&D? When I was a young kid, my friend Clint Chapman, Danny Brown, and I each pitched in $5 so that we could get the Mentor Red Box, because I think it was like $15 or something.
Yeah,
I remember right, like in 80s money, like $5,000 now. So, but we bought the Red Box, and we played like first to third level, like I don't even know how many times, and because we wanted to save Alina, and there was just no way to do it. So, but then when we had gotten together the money to get the what was it, the blue box, the expert set or something like that, somebody gave one of us in the group a stack, like the 1E DM's Guide, Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, maybe Monster Manual 2, and we were just stoked. And I remember like one of us holding it up and be like, but in this, anything can happen, but I mean, it was really like a lifesaver for me because, when I was in high school, I remember going into my guidance counselor's office, and my grades were like in the toilet, like literally I was like flunking out of school, and she's like, "What are you going to do when you leave here?" And I was like, I want to do art like this. And I remember I had Jeff Easley's Monster Manual 2, the one with the fur ball and the fur.
Yeah,
And I
awesome.
said, I want to do this, and I want to work for this Gygax guy. And I don't know anything about it, but this is what I want to do. My art was terrible. I was in high school, but that's what I wanted to do. And she laughed at me, and she said, well, you know, you can always get a job at the woolen mill, at the
Oh my gosh.
the mill in town. But you know, as soon as Luke Gygax contacted me, I was like, man, someday I'm going to find that woman.
We all have
'Cause I-
those stories. Tim went to a religious high school, and right?
Yeah.
And Tim's dad is a Shakespearean actor, but theater, and it's still Tim had it. Marco had it too, going to Baptist High. You know, you guys got to be beaten down too. Me, not as much, but you know, I got
So beaten down
for
with
other things.
D&D.
Yeah, I mean, with I was talking about it. You couldn't talk about it in school.
Well, I guess I didn't because, you know, I kept the nerdery to a minimum at school, and just enjoyed it at home. Whatever. The beatdown happened. I went to a religious college, and there was a few people that took offense. But one of the guys I gamed with was friends with the dean of men of the school. So when I had to sit down, I brought him, and we explained things very clearly. And so the dean realized this is much ado about nothing.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you know, just don't use a room set aside for study as your game room. Use a different area. So I complied. It was
There
fun.
you go.
Yep. When our group finally split up, it was one of our, not mine, but I can't remember if it was Dan or Clint. Their grandparents had seen the Satanic Panic stuff and said that we needed to burn the books or throw them out or something. And so I was like, man, just give them to me. Just give them to me. And Clint was a very good businessman, and he wouldn't give them to me. He was going to throw them out or sell them to me. So I think I paid like $30. But I remember being at our my grandparents had a camp on the lake that summer, the next summer, and I was reading the books like thoroughly from front to back, absorbing every word. And somebody in my family said, well, should he be reading those? And my mother's like, I don't give a damn what he's doing. He's reading. Leave him alone.
Yeah. Do you remember the what was that called? The cartoon that came out, and oh no, they killed Blackleaf and they burned the books. They burned all the D&D. Oh my gosh, I gotta find that. Anyone remember the name of that cartoon? They used to insert into the old books.
I remember there was somebody who had unfortunately committed suicide, and they were angsting over the death of their character. And of course, everyone, you know, in the family wants to latch on to the blame of some game because they wouldn't want to bear the guilt themselves.
That's at Dark Dungeons. That was it. Yes.
Yep. I remember that.
Blackleaf.
You know, and of course, it's like, oh, really? It's like Dead Poet Society. The guy kills himself. Let's blame it on the teacher, not on the real issues. So.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Yep.
So Lloyd, when did you turn this into somewhat of a career profession choice and get into publishing and get into really putting out some great content?
It's half a story of a lot of friggin' work and a lot of luck and just some perseverance. It started with my art really wasn't progressing because I wasn't studying with purpose. Like I wasn't actually studying anatomy and how things work. I just kept making the same mistakes. I was reinforcing a lot of mistakes. So my earliest work is a little embarrassing now, but I think everybody's early work should be embarrassing.
You should see our early streams, Lloyd.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, but that's why my company's called Fail Squad Games, because I'm not afraid to screw things up, and if you screw things up, it's okay. Nothing has to be perfect as long as you learn from screwing it up. You know. So it started with I was just drawing garbage. I was drawing whatever, posting it on social media, and then Luke Gygax contacted me and said, hey, I just wrote my first adventure. Do you want to illustrate it? I don't really have a budget. And I was like, well, does Ass Hurt Bear shit in the woods? Yes, I'm going to illustrate that. You know, of course, it's Luke Gygax. This is what I told that high school guidance counselor I wanted to do. I want to work for a Gygax, you know?
Yeah, so absolutely.
I started doing the illustrations, and now that first Aquarid module it's the most embarrassing artwork I have in the published world, but it's a reminder. It's my fence post, And then Luke helped me get find a roommate and afford to go to GaryCon. I maxed out my credit cards to get to GaryCon. I met Zach Glazer.
What year was
then
that?
Huh?
What year did that happen? Which GaryCon was that?
It was GaryCon 5.
Okay. Okay.
And Zach had this lesser known company. He was working on a box set. I showed him I had a portfolio of whatever I had, what I could put together, and he's like, okay. And I was at work, a web design company, and he kept sending me messages all day at work, like, okay, there's some money in your account. This is what I need.
That is that's great that he must have seen your work and contacted you. That is so that is awesome. And then from that day forward, you said, "Hey, I can do this myself," right? Are you the sole owner of Fail Squad Games? Or do you have a partner or some people who work with you?
I'm the HMFIC, which is the head the head
we
chicken
got
in
it.
charge.
I'm familiar with that term.
Yeah.
So it's really nothing. I subcontract out a lot of art to my daughter, who has become a better artist than I am in a lot of respects.
Beautiful.
And that's every parent's goal in life is for your kids to do better than you are.
That's pretty funny. My daughter's 18 and she's been drawing. I mean, I'm not an artist, but so it's not a hard feat, but she's been drawing better than me since she was 7. And she wants to go into graphic arts and she wants to write and illustrate children's books. So
well,
looking at her studies, it's hard work. It's hard work.
It's a lot of work. And I burned myself out not too long ago when I took a day job because I was like, I don't want to do commissions anymore. But because I got a 2-year degree in communications and media, and because I did that, I'm able to wear a lot of the hats in the company. So I can do the layout, I can do the writing, I can do the illustration. I mean, I can get through an entire project myself if I have to, but nobody should edit their own work. So I send that off to the highly skilled Scott Swift.
That is awesome. It's good to have. I mean, for me, I have a terrain crafter and a figure painter. Right, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a partnership.
Yeah.
You can't do it all yourself. Even though Gary Holding thinks I can, but no, I don't do it all myself. I'm telling you.
Independently wealthy, you can do it.
You got to know when to do things, to put things outside your house though, because I released a module that I thought that I edited myself, and it seemed great. I knew what I meant when I wrote the stuff. And then I read a review, and it wasn't that I wasn't hurt by the reviewer. What hurt was that he was right.
Don't tell me it was the guy on Drive-Thru RPG. I saw it. Is that the one you're talking about?
There's a couple of them on Drive-Thru RPG, and I've got a couple of guys. I've got one guy who's always brutally honest, and you know what?
Eichenstein or whatever. He has this huge name. I've seen him.
I don't remember, but when he's right, that's when it matters to me, because I've learned to not just to puff up, and I've learned to set my ego aside and be like, I go back and look at the things that he's commenting on, and I'm like, shit, he's right.
That is so important in everything. People, when you can hear things, absorb it, learn from it, and move on without ego getting in the way is a big thing. So
absolutely,
that just sets you way ahead of anybody with like,
yeah, that's definite. That's definite. You got to learn from your mistakes too. All right, I want to do a couple quick announcements. Number one, Will, Wicked Studios. I apologize. I knew about the Zoom thing Thursday. I had to roll back my drivers. I should have put a general out there to anyone who's using Zoom, and I may have saved you some headache. My apologies for not saying something. What a disaster that was. I was like, what the hell? It's not working, and I got lucky. 2, Lloyd has been kind enough for 2 things. If you watched Legends and Lore Wednesday night, you know what this picture's about, okay? So everyone knows about my faux pas during GaryCon, during the Celebrating Great Hawk giveaway, and what a funny.
Was it a faux pas? Or
yeah, it was.
I
wasn't even. I was tired, and I said, Asher the bear, and I said, ass hurt the bear.
There's
So
fortuitous slip of the tongue.
yeah, and then so we were talking about it. And I showed the clip on Wednesday night, and Lloyd drew this while he was watching the show, and then sent it to me during the show. So I mean, that is such an awesome pick. So I wanted to say thank you for that,
Okay, it looks
Moxie.
like it
There's your
hurts.
Moxie.
It's because I'm from Maine. That's why. That's right. I'm glad that I've got Babunski. We are in solidarity on the Moxie front.
And Babunski's Chuck Humbow from Troller Games. So there you go. So he says hello, absolutely. And here is the second announcement now. Lloyd is giving away 6 Fail Squad game publications, including the first 2 Maximum HP fanzines, not fanzines.
Because
right.
I'm always saying zine, and if Herman's watching, he's going to zine.
Absolutely. So here's the deal. Because in order to be respectful of Lloyd's giveaway, you have to be on when your name is claimed tonight, okay? So I'm going to make you guys all stay for the full 2 hours, just out of courtesy to Lloyd. There's 2 drawings. There's 1 automatic for all of our subscribers. I have the list right here. And then there's the one everyone can sign up for, okay? Please feel free to sign up. 6 items. We're giving it away in 2 packs. All PDFs, okay? Make it easy in this day and age. But just wanted to share that with you. The kindness
Is it an exclamation? How do you enter? I'm sorry.
Exclamation capital D drawing.
There it is.
Yep, absolutely. I keep it the same for all shows because when I don't, things get messed up. So, yes. Oh, what is it this week? So there you go. Listen, David, because you worked that special mining job, I will make an exception for you because of your work history employment, okay? Because I know how rough it is on you, Snafu, David Leonard, and plus you're a great freaking blogger. So I will make an exception for you, David, just because of your situation. Hang in there as long as you can.
Oh, teacher's pet.
Well, it's a special circumstance. He's
Absolutely
keeping the world running. So
that's right.
yeah,
I totally
Quality
100%
works
get it.
also. I think though Cap D is a safe way to go. So when did you start Fail Squad games?
After Zach and I worked together on Lesser Gnome stuff, we did a couple of things, and somewhere in there, he flew me out to. Well, his wife works for an airline, so his wife flew me out to Arizona to work on. Was it Death and Taxes, maybe, or something like that?
It's an exclamation point, Jason Zavarda. It's an exclamation point.
It's not eye drawing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Somewhere when I launched my first Kickstarter while I was there, I was like, we were like, what do we do? My job was sort of like killing me inside because I was sitting in an office cubicle, and Zach's like, how about just doing postcards or greeting cards? And that was my first Kickstarter.
Nice.
And then I needed a name to attach onto that. And my home group, we called ourselves the Fail Squad because it's what we did the best. My logo is a dice with all ones,
I love the logo.
Yeah, that's a perfect logo. It's apt for what goes on at our tables. So Tim's dad once, Fergus, his dwarf, he fumbled 4 straight rounds. I've never seen it. Rolled a 1 4 straight rounds. Never in my life. We got up to Tom has done 3. We've never gotten up to 4 since.
Super tough, and because he survived 4 fumbles.
Absolutely.
I ran the Castle Misdemeanor at the local game store, and I'd never seen such a fumbling crew. I really thought I was going to have a TPK. It was a fiasco.
There it is. That's a great logo.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah.
What year did you start this?
You know what? I don't remember. So it was probably the year after GaryCon 5. So during GaryCon 6 year, my world revolves around GaryCon operations.
Sure.
So I'm on staff. Honestly, but I filed. The reason why I don't remember is because I filed as a corporation.
Okay.
And I moved to Milwaukee, and I moved to Florida. And during every one of those moves, I had to refile my corporation filing. Right. Okay. So the beginning is a little fuzzy. So every time I moved, I refiled for a corporation. So
what was your first publication? I'm asking these tough questions.
I think okay. So Zach, during during the lesser known first publication, there was a town called Swindle that had a bunch of bootlegging goblins.
Okay.
And I asked Zach if I could write an adventure for the town of Swindle, and it was the bogey of Swindle. And he's like, well, I could tell that he was uneasy about it, but he let me do it. So I did a short one, and I sold them a slap together version of that at GaryCon 6 or 7.
Okay.
And then later I was like, Zach, I'm going to do a Kickstarter, but I'm going to change some names to protect the innocent. And it was Bogey of Brindle, but they were still bootlegging goblins and stuff. So it was still a lot of fun. But I mean, I can't say enough good things about Zach because he really helped me out, and he let me do some things that most people who own IP would never do.
Explain Zach again. Who is he? Is he Frog God?
Zach Glazer is the Chief Operations Officer of Frog God Games.
There you go. There you go. I just bought a whole bunch of stuff there last night because we got virtual Frog God Games money from GaryCon for hosting. I got a $35 gift certificate basically and used it last night. A lot of old Necromancer game content that I love. I got a whole bunch of them in PDF I didn't have before, so it's a great company.
They really helped me out with AppleCon too. I started my own convention, and they sent me a bunch of stuff to auction off and sell off. Yeah.
Excellent. Tim, you got any? Well, let me ask this: what system do you play, and do you DM? Or are you mostly a player in your group?
It's funny you should ask. We just switched off. We just I like doing rotating DM so that nobody gets burned out.
Okay.
But what we do is almost like an elegant corpse, only we do an elegant adventure. So I ran for quite a while. I was running first edition with my home group, and then we were all kept nudging ourselves a little bit more towards second edition stuff. Somebody wanted non-weapon proficiency. Somebody wanted just one more thing that was like, and it was like, you know what? We're just going to call it. We're going to play 2E because we were already playing like a 1.5, 1.75 because we kept incorporating this stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then my friend Ian took over as DM, but then this whole Corona business happened, and we have somebody in our group who's immunocompromised. So we're looking at going online. But what's funny is my D&D group are such a great group of creative people that staying at home threw us into a state of being super busy.
I know the feeling, man. I understand that. GaryCon was a beatdown with streaming 6 events, and I mean, it was a beatdown. So I understand. Hey, DM.
Yes.
It was rough, but that's a good thing. So you are an old schooler like Tim and me, is what you classify yourself.
I mean, I don't want to start an edition war because Rising Tide went up, but I love
war.
My core heart ended up in second edition because we kept home ruling first edition so much.
Oh yeah.
That it wasn't first edition anymore, you know. I hate paying to level up. I hate that whole business. You know, there's a bunch of things like
for training, you mean?
Yeah. Tim Kask said the first thing that he threw out was level limits himself, you know, and he was there when I was born.
We agree 100% right here. I have no level limits. I have class level, not racial. So, for example, the Grandmaster of Assassins is still 15th, but
the advantage of a demi-human is not enough to limit the levels, I think.
I agree. That's awesome here.
That's right. And Gary was very human centric. At least that's what I've been told by people that were very close to him. So it was like humans were the heroes. It wasn't the elves and the dwarves. It was humans that were supposed to be the heroes. That was his intent.
That's true.
That's how he made the game. That's how he saw it. He didn't. As a matter of fact, in a recent podcast that I did, Tim told me that Gary didn't even want half-orcs because it alluded to some non-consensual situation.
It kind of makes sense.
Not like half-orcs at all.
Yeah. Well,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
So I mean, but he was very human centric in his world building and his intent with the game. But then we 2E we learned to incorporate elves into our background, our
I
history.
mean, I guess that's a key element of high literary fantasy. If you look at JRR, it's humans that are the ones that are biggest villains, weakest people, but also they're the ones that do all the big epic things
For the most
Yes.
part, yeah.
and are also tragic a lot.
All right, so you guys have merged into 1E/2E. It sounds like a little 2E here and there.
We just grabbed that horse and rode it right into 2E. So we switched to 2E now.
Hey, there's nothing wrong. There's not. Tom, of course, asked that question. So,
there's some things in 2E that I don't like. I love the splat books. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like Wemmicks in my game. I don't like what is it? The Elven spell sword, something like that. That did just
The
a
what?
game breaker.
the what? The spell singer.
There's an Elven class in one of the complete book of elves. It's like a spell singer, or spell sword, or something, and it just lets you be a full on fighter magic user without splitting your class, and just lets you do wacky stuff that makes the DM's sphincter clench.
Let me. All right. So a couple things. All right. DM. I am paranoid after the Adam Coble incident a couple days ago. Okay.
Blade singer, yes. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
All right. So I'm a little paranoid, and that's all. That's all that is. So don't worry about it. Number
What
two.
are you talking about?
Don't worry. We'll talk about it off camera. If you don't know what
Okay.
happened, it's really bad. Number two, Forgotten Realms is like Power Gaming Central, and that's where all that stuff is, right? In Greyhawk, you don't have blade singers. You just don't. I mean, we don't have that stuff. We have, it's just we don't have Jizzit running around. We don't have the Harpers at all 30th level running around, But that's okay. If people want to play that way, that's fine. Never tell anyone how to play their game. Tim's game is different than my game, and we sometimes butt heads a little bit with things, and that's cool. But we have our own different DMing
But,
styles.
I mean, we both know that it's the DM's world. So in the end, he's the final call.
Yeah.
But the whole idea is to have fun. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and we've been friends long enough to know that we're gonna have fun. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, you missed DM. I think you came on right after we saw. There's an ass hurt the bear pick that's in the scroller, so that's okay. So, what's a shield master? No, we don't. A shield thane. Come on,
But
David, you gotta get that right. It's not a shield master; it's a shield thane. We have shield mastery. So, wow, this is you're 2E now, and so if you're a 2,
you know what? I still write to 1E when I sit
Yeah.
down to write. Well, it's a mix. I do this funny thing. I have on my computer. I have VirtualBox. Does anybody remember the core rules that came out with 2E? The
Yeah.
CD.
Yeah.
I actually have a copy that I purchased. I paid a wacky amount of money for the box and the discs. I know I can download them online illegally, but
Yes, we don't link. Yeah, that's one thing we won't do on this channel is link illegal.
no. I mean, come on. I mean, Jeff Easley is my buddy. Whatever. I know he's not making stuff off of Wizards, but I don't care. So anyway, so I have the box set. So I install VirtualBox. I make a copy of that disc, and I load it in virtually, and I still use Core Rules 2.0 to write a lot of my adventures to put together my encounters and stuff.
Mhm.
I love that thing. But yeah, I mean, I still write to 1E. And when I'm just now that I'm home so much again, committing to learning 5E. I mean, I read all the books, I bought the books, and I love first and second edition, but I'm gonna get it, but I might not love it. But I still pay somebody to do my conversion for me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, the stories are the stories, and
Yeah.
the mechanics are different. The mechanics are the mechanics.
Sure, but I can't throw 5 goblins in a first 1E adventure and have them mean the same thing in a 5E adventure.
That's so true.
And there's
Why
wizards,
is
there's
that?
warlocks, and
I actually don't
sorcerers.
know the answer to that.
The answer to
The
that
real question.
is the scalability and all that, and
Right.
it
So
also
5
depends.
goblins and 5e is worse or
No,
less?
Well, there's a power band situation. Like there's feats and things and I don't even know how many classes anymore. You know, I've lost track, and races. So there's a lot of things that don't stay in. First edition, second edition has this power band that fits in this tidy cube. No matter, even if you're using a kit from the splat books, you're in this power band. When 5e is just sort of it's waffles a lot. So I need somebody who is more versed in 5e than I am to make those final decisions.
definitely. For me, 1E, 2E with a lot of home rules merged in, as Anna has just coined. Anna, correct? I am a 2.75 DM, my own system. That's what she said the other day. I was like,
I
that
would
sounds
say,
good.
Jay,
I was like, oh my god, what's that?
maybe 2.25
I
because
don't know. That's
yeah,
that's
I
that's
don't
just
know.
what we said.
You're
Yeah, there she
1e,
goes. There she goes. 2.75.
yeah,
But
but you have heavy
yeah,
2 second edition elements and maybe a few because of all the classes. There's just some hints at third,
yeah. Well, there's a lot of
but
spells that are third.
there's some distinctive
Li-
non 2e stuff in there. So that's why I have a
Yeah.
hard time saying 2 point.
Well, and you'll appreciate this, Lloyd. Necromancer Games was the bomb, and when they came out, and that was in the beginning of third edition, and their motto was third edition look, first edition feel. Right? I love that stuff, and so all the books, all the references, all the spells, I've incorporated back into my 1E 2E game because this stuff's awesome. You know, and all the stuff from Sword and Sorcery too, the Relic and Ritual books and all that. It's awesome stuff. So
I'm
I don't.
working on first edition stuff with a 5e feel.
Good.
Yeah, I mean we live in 2020. There's no reason to not write to the modern world, but I still like the mechanics there. So what the hell?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Tim, you got a question or two? Throw something out there instead of me doing all the talking. Come on, ask your
Sorry,
proficiency.
the missus came in and asked me a question, so I had to mute because we know who's in charge.
Yep.
So my apologies.
Is she still talking?
No, I'm good now. So what was the question?
What do you want to ask? Come on, ask something like your
The
proficiency.
question was, did you have?
Well, I want to go into.
I've done like 18 to 20 Kickstarters now. So anybody wants to ask about Kickstarter, I'll talk about that too.
Yeah, definitely.
I do like. Well, I really like how you kind of pull in more cultural elements into the dwarven community stuff. I really, really, really like that because
It's up right now.
I feel like cultural elements and more details of life, a little bit more texture and all that is missing in a lot of things. And so I really enjoy that. And is there a particular inspiration you have for it, or is it just that's one of your things you love?
Well, Gary Gygax. In dungeon dressing in the 1E DMG
First maximum HP
was pretty sweet. I really liked it. It like added weird flavors to things. Like, it wasn't just a hallway anymore. It was like there's a rusty helmet in the corner, sort of things.
Yeah.
I like things like that. I like things that I don't know if it distracts the party or what, but I mean, it sort of gives you a grounding base. I mean, some of the things that I produce might be rather banal, like everyday sort of stuff. Like I think in that first dwarven maximum HP, there was like a beard comb or something. But I like things that ground you in everyday life, so that then you can suspend your disbelief from that.
There are in here, everyone. It's bringing life to a dwarven town. Maximum HP #1, which is available on Drive-Thru RPG.
Yep.
All right.
I also have it on the website. I think I've got a few copies left here. I've got some more coming in this week.
Beautiful, and that's in print or PDF. And I got your shout out here. Also there's the Kickstarter for the third one. Shout out right up.
Well, that is a long link.
Yeah, I know. It's that's the one I copied and pasted in that actually worked going into that browser. You have a physical trait chart and a mental trait chart for dwarves, which is really cool. A general quirks chart. Neat stuff. Some
Thanks.
great NPCs. Really fantastic NPCs. Gertrude Hammerfell, just Shiv Forgehand, who I have her up.
She is nasty. She's like a dwarven assassin that lives in the mountain.
Yeah.
But she has so much inside information on the dwarven council that they let her still come in the mountain. You know, she's like, oh, you owe me a favor.
Yeah, let me pull back to 1 there. There you go. So this is what we're talking about now. Is the first maximum HP, 001. So yeah, it's some great stuff. Devenmar Gren, I have him up as well in the scroller, and then here it is, the Aristocrat's Comb in the magic shop. The small ivory comb is carefully crafted from the tusk of a large boar. It is then imbued with permanent magic and often given as a grant gift to aristocrats, dignitaries, or other dwarven nobility. It is cool. It's a cool RP item.
It's a flavor. It's a flavor magic item.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the best magic items was from Book of Mysterious Magic that I ever used in my games, and it was just this rusty old nail, a spike that you'd find in a pile of spikes, but when you set it down the ground, it would always point north. It seems like such a small thing.
Well, that's a big deal.
That was a big deal. And that arrow of direction, Alan broke his when he used it 8 times within 10 minutes, and the 8th time he threw it up in the air, it broke. If we all remember that, so
yeah.
Wait, see, here's my.
Jay, you're a big meanie.
Yeah, I know.
Come on,
see,
man.
Lloyd, I have what's called abuser players, and that nail would have been abused to hell. I'm kidding.
All you got to do is say make it works 3 times a day.
Yeah, that's it. You got to limit usage on
or
stuff.
They use it so much it gets the attention of a real high power, who then comes in and steals it.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
But I really like that all the shopkeepers, the beard barber, or
there was a barber. Yeah, there was also like a butcher.
And it's like he kind of like he doesn't pay off the thieves guild, but he just like wants to kind of know what's going on, so he always keeps it, which is like barber is like, you know, the archetypical, everyone's talking and gossiping and collecting the news, and it's perfect because every dwarf's got this big beard. They can't all be the same.
No, and you know, it's based on like when I lived in Milwaukee, I would drive through the downtown, and the barbershops were like a key element of life and society. You know, the ladies would go to the beauty salons and there was weaves and nails, but it was the same thing, you know. But the fellas went to the barbershops, and it was like, I mean, obviously I don't really need it, but the guys would go in, and it was like that was their connection to the ground.
Lloyd, if you had a 2-foot beard, you'd need it.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. My wife has a real beard length. Yeah.
Me too.
This is too much for mine right now.
Although I love playing dwarves, so I'll always play a dwarf if I can.
Dwarves are great. Just the culture that you have developed in here. All right, let's talk about the woolly fonts then.
Oh, yes.
What exactly is a woolly font?
Well, it's a cross between an oliphant and a woolly mammoth. But the dwarves struggled with the oliphants, but they went into the Arctic wastes, and they discovered that they could crossbreed them. The woolly mammoths were a bit kinder and gentler, and so they ended up with this woolly font, you know. And so, but it's not just something that you can just get. You can't just go to the Dwarven Mountain and be like, "Hey, here's whatever 10,000 gold pieces. I want a woolly font." No, you've got to. They require that you spend years in training and working toward becoming a woolly font master. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a game changer tactically, so yeah, you can't give that away.
No, but I envisioned a dwarven cavalier on a woolly font.
It is. I see them in the pic, so they actually can ride this thing,
Yes.
which is really pretty
And it's a
impressive.
terror. Like, so when they call on the Dwarven Mountain of Dwarf, and they are called into battle, and there's 20 of these on the battlefield, you know, they put in a very regimented, stiff line, an unforgiving line, you know.
Lloyd, you have a hair of a reverb. Try pushing your mic away from you just a hair if you can, or okay, or away from the sound of the PC, whichever one makes more sense.
I've got
Probably that.
I've got earbuds, so
Okay, if you want to do that, that would be great if you don't mind.
Apologies.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just a hair, and just no problem.
For
So
posterity, we want to preserve that, right?
yeah, take a
Here you
second.
go.
Beautiful. Awesome. Can you hear us clear?
I can.
All right, good. Excellent. Yep, it's cut way down now. That's beautiful. Thank you so very much. That's why I wear these damn things. You know, just so I can, because that was another thing. You learn doing this stuff on Twitch. You learn what not to do, and one of those things is for me was not to have a headset doing a talk show, for the most part. So I love this woolly font. I know it's a cool, different thing. There's woolly masters. So that's a special like skill, right? Set of the dwarves.
I didn't make that a playable thing. I just sort of left it as an NPC.
NPC,
or
okay.
Yeah.
Also, additional mounts. Dire boar, another cool thing. And I think, that's a good mount for a dwarf as well.
But it's not an Eliothere. It's a little different because the Eliotheres are so uncontrollable.
Okay.
But it's similar to an Eliothere that you can slap a saddle on.
Okay. Nice. Tim, come on, throw another one out there.
Well, I also like the nuanced magic items. I know we touched on the comb thing, but there was some deep gnome. Is it deep gnome or regular gnome? There was some crystalline sort of artifacts or magic items that they would use for their sort of kind of part of their culture.
And you talking about out of Fanzine 2?
I think so.
All right.
I have both, but I can't remember.
Let's start at the beginning of this. Why Everdark instead of Underdark? What was the theory behind that? And we're talking about Fanzine 2. Just for copyright purposes, or?
Well, the Underdark is a copywritten term. That's an IP that belongs to Wizards of the Coast.
Okay, I did not know that. You just educated me on something.
It is and it isn't. It's open for debate. And instead of leaving my ass hurt out into the open, I thought,
who wants to do that debate? Nobody wants to debate that.
Well, it's close. It's so close. And Wizards of the Coast has already shut me down on one Kickstarter where I wanted to do Castle Mistamir. So.
Really?
Like why tempt fate? So it just call it the Everdark, and it's fine. We all know what I mean. And also, when it comes to Drow, the Drow in my world are albinos. It makes more physiological sense to me to be albino after you've been in the darkness for centuries.
Like every other creature that's totally stuck underground in the cave.
Yes, and it's an open copy. It's an open IP thing also. But it just makes more sense to me. Like fish, like newts, like whatever, it's like they lose their pigmentation. They don't gain more.
And I see a couple differences, not that, which is good. You say we shan't call them drow, as the IP is up for debate. We've altered their appearance and characteristics in Arterra. Everdark elves are albino with a few sensible reasons, and there you go. And their magic resistance is a little lower, which is okay. And they're lawful evil, not chaotic evil. Why don't you explain that to me as far as reasoning?
I absolutely. I love Bob and the Dritz books, but I don't understand why they were chaotic evil, because they were such an organized society that it didn't make sense to me that they'd be chaotic. Like they have this matriarchy that exists in these various houses and the strict laws of society. I'm like, that's lawful evil. That's not chaotic evil, which is just chaos.
Right. Okay.
But I don't know. It made sense to me. Like
I think being lawful evil makes them way more dangerous than chaotic evil.
Yes,
Oh,
because they're
of course.
organized. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
they might be organized in a religious sort of society around Loth, but it's lawful. It's not chaotic.
So you tried to keep each of your designs to a theme.
Yeah.
So the first one was dwarves. The second one was Everdark.
Mhm.
And we'll go back to those and discuss them a little bit. What's the third one about?
Wilderness. The cover
Beautiful.
art is right behind me. Yeah, the wilderness. And Tim Kask has been a great supporter, and he's contributing. We've unlocked the level in the Kickstarter for him to do a feature piece, not just a little tip here and there, but he's going to do a feature piece for us this time.
Beautiful.
And he said he told me that it's like always been the thing that's irked him the most about old school D&D adventures is they just sort of like brush aside the stuff that happens to get to the dungeon.
I agree, and I love outdoor adventuring with my terrain because it works well. In fact, I'm doing one on Thursday night where they're in the Cairn Hills and there's all sorts of fissures and stuff, and we get So I love outdoor training with miniatures tabletop. That's where it makes perfect sense. I think because it's difficult to do on a map and get distance scale. I think scale's an issue when you're thinking about it. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
It's
What
a
are your
little
thoughts?
weird. First edition is weird when you go from underground to overground because it goes from feet to yards, and
We don't do that.
it's also a house rule to bypass that too.
Can you imagine a fireball exploding in a 30-yard radius?
That would be awesome.
I mean, that is just it doesn't work. Yeah.
Well, it works if you're a war gamer, but it doesn't really work for a hero gamer.
Just has to do, they went from squares to hexes, probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anything can be converted and fixed, and I think all three of us agree that 1E is not perfect. Unearthed Arcana is not perfect, but it's good, right? And there's a lot of 2E aspects that aren't perfect, but they're adaptable, and you just got to pick and choose your place. So here's a couple questions for you, Lloyd, on your game. Do you have specialty priests in your game in 2E?
Well, now that we've jumped into 2E, yes. One of the things that kind of bothers me a little bit is the no bloodletting weapons. We all know if you smack somebody with a mace in the head, you're letting out some blood. So one of the first things that happened was in 1E game was the person playing the cleric in my group, which also we incorporated some 5e stuff. It doesn't make sense for a cleric to pray for or memorize spells ahead of time. Spell slots make way more sense.
Okay.
So we incorporated that right quickly. But also, he's a priest of death. I mean, so why would he just use a mace and stuff? So
Yeah.
I let it happen. In 1E, you can do that. You can easily just spill over. Sure, use a scimitar. It doesn't affect the power band of the party so much that you lose control.
That's true. It's true. We, I love, especially priests are my love for second edition. And
Well, and a lot of people didn't realize that in first edition you couldn't play a dwarven priest.
they're NPC only.
Yeah, which I always thought sucked.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I guess if you went ahead and said they're how the biggest dwarven artisans don't adventure, they're too busy in their craft, and if you equate the same to religious studies, the dwarves would be so into their craft they wouldn't bother adventuring.
Right, it goes back to Gary's human-centric mindset, of the game,
But here's the thing. So when Arcana came out, they had all these. You need 4 18s in a stat to get 8th level half elf cleric or something crazy, and I figured that's the wrong direction. implies power gaming to get there. I was like, this is ridiculous. And we said, we're done with this. Now, they added multi-class options, a lot of them. And like, for example, the dreaded Gnome Illusionist Assassin, one of my favorites of all time. Right, Tim? We have Ranger Mages, and we have all sorts of, really cool stuff that works, but in conjunction with Cavaliers, which was a mixed boat, right? Do you guys allow is Cavalier a big class for you?
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it looks like Tim, we're having an audio background.
Yeah, one of you there's a reverb somewhere that I can't figure out. I don't think it's on my end. I don't know if it's.
It's Tim. Well, somebody's commented in the chat that Tim's soundbar is lighting up almost constantly.
There it goes. So Tim, what's happening is your voice sound down there where it's down. See where your sound part is on your where are you talking to?
Or maybe on the Twitch. Do you have
right
the Twitch
here.
audio on?
Is your Twitch on? Is your Twitch sound on?
No, I turned that all the way off.
Let me look on my end. No, mine's off too.
Somebody's got a TV on or something in the background.
No, it's actually a reverb from a talk.
Oh.
So
Well,
it could be that maybe my pad is keeping the external mic on while this is on.
All right, there you go. Now it stopped. Now it's on.
Is it now?
It is when I talk. See that?
It's a reverb for
Bum 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 bum. Can you do push to talk? I don't know if that'll help.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, it's on your end.
Okay, I'm going to close this, and I'm going to
change your mic device.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. I'll let you back in. All right, Tim's gonna go to his phone real quick. So.
Okay, sorry, gang. But
No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
It's good. You got it resolved. We got it resolved. Something odd going on with his sound card. Something's going on there, but well, now it's gone. Yeah, it was on Tim's end. Wah wah wah.
Well, where were we? What was happening? So something about
Cavaliers.
Cavaliers. Huh. You know what? Somebody suggested to me that I do an entire issue of Maximum HP regarding Cavaliers and Rangers because they're probably the most difficult thing to play. The thing that a lot of people gravitate to. What do you do with them? Like a Cavalier, you've got this mount that's always a pain in the backside to deal with, and
you gotta be common sense. You can't have six of your people of your what do you call it, banner carriers, whatever, with you all the time. I mean, that's in a town, right? I mean, you got to use common sense when you're role playing in your adventuring group. My bone is Dragon 72 versus Unearthed Arcana. I can't stand the Unearthed Arcana Cavalier. I can't stand that they made it a paladin a subclass of Cavalier. So we have it as a subclass of both fighter and Cavalier, and you have your choice.
yeah.
And I love Dragon 72 with all the different weaponry and stuff. So yeah, I had this talk with Scott Casper the other day, and he agreed 100% that there's there's some great things in Arcana, but there's some, things are a little whiffy. What about barbarians? What's your feeling?
My buddy Tim keeps telling me that the bane of many DMs was the Dragon magazine, and even though he's an editor for the first 132 issues or something like that. People would come to the table with Dragon magazine like it was a written fact, and like, oh, they're all options. They're all options, and you got to remind your players of that sometimes. And I feel, and I mean, maybe this is just my personal experience, but it's been easier for me to remind 1E, 2E players that these are options than it is. I've really battled with some 5E players of like, that's an option that I don't want to deal with, like feats, like 5E game. I don't want feats in my game, and I don't know. Sometimes it just turns into an argument that I just don't let out.
Well, that's where you and I may differ a little bit. I've merged feats in with my proficiency system, but I have a limited list, like 35 to 40 of them. Two-fisted fighting, it should be a feat of some sort, right?
Sure. There's some things though that just don't make sense, like never being surprised and
no, that's
stuff.
ridiculous.
I
agree 100%. You have to limit. A good DM it's all about limits, right? You limit the choices. We allow finesse fighters, so we allow weapon finesse. You can't use your strength bonus with weapon finesse. You don't get the strength. You don't get strength damage. We do a little. We tweak things a little bit.
DM 22 1532. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but double specialization was a bad decision. that was a bad gaming mechanic decision. I agree with that. And then the feats don't. It doesn't always work out, you know,
Yeah.
and some stuff you just say no.
Double specialization is tough. If you have an 1800 strength fighter, how many humans have 1800 strength in reality? Very few, right?
1 out of 100.
Yeah,
Well, no, it's
more,
actually
yeah.
1 out of 15,000 or something.
Yeah, but Cavaliers can up their stats, and that's where the problem was arising.
Yeah.
Cavaliers can train, get their stats up to 1800, and then have double specialization as well, and that creates some nasty fighters. You just gotta use common sense when you're playing the game, and I think 1E2E 5E took that away a lot. You know, as far as it set the rules, and you know, there's still some DMing common sense, but for us, we had to do a lot of it. You know, because it was, yeah.
And 5e does say that it's all optional. It really does. And feats are optional. But for some reason, with the players that I've encountered at the 5e table, it was more difficult for me to say it's not an option at my table. I don't even know why. I don't want to start.
Yeah, it's okay.
Blasting those crossbow bolts across the bow.
I guess I got to admit Tim instead of just letting him sit there. Sorry, dude.
What about now?
That sounds a lot better. 100 times. Yeah, that's great, dude. Thanks, man.
To add into that conversation, though, I found myself as a 5e DM, what I spent a lot of time doing when I allowed the feats and things was nullifying the feats and stuff that got in the way of the story. And so when I start nullifying stuff to get on with the story, I think that's where it becomes problematic. And it's not just 5e. To be fair, like a second edition fighter with an 1800 something strength that specializes in darts can break a game right quick.
Yes. Tim has a gnome named Fred the Farty, which specializes in darts, but it's more for comedy relief. So that and once again, you do not want to have an 1800 fighter throwing 4 or 5 darts around. You're absolutely correct there, Lloyd. It ruins the game. And we made limits, especially when they do it in 2 hands.
Well,
right?
They can only carry so many darts.
Yeah.
And then, okay, you get your backpack. Now it takes you 4 rounds to get your backpack off.
Even still, if you carry 20 darts, you're in it for 4 rounds. The fight is over in 4 rounds.
But you can't carry 4 darts. You can't carry 20 darts ready to shoot. See, that's how you limit those sort of things.
I had guys with the bandolier, you know.
It looked like Rambo.
Rambo thing, yeah.
I guarantee you that only works for 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's still 2 rounds every fight is nasty, and
is.
That's why we took. This is how we solved a couple things. Rate of fire, missile. There's one class in our game out of every single character that gets 3 arrows per round at 7th. That's it. No Cavaliers, no fighters, none of them. And that is the Leonard Lakofka. There, I said Leonard once a show. The Leonard Lakofka Archer class, which we have, because that's the way it is. None others. We stopped it. No more multiple missile fire.
I have it different in mind.
Yes, he does, and that's it. We're a little different between each, and that's where the changes are, Lloyd. And that's the cool thing about the old school.
Well, you know, a lot of it is. I'll admit I'm open to all critique, and I will admit that a lot of my struggles with 5e revolves around my unfamiliarity with it. When I got the first box set, the introduction to 5e, I was excited about the game, and I felt the books let me down when I got to the books. But then the books, to be fair, aren't really organized in a way that my 1E mind is used to, because I didn't play 3.5 and 4. I was at 2, and then I saw 5.
Yep.
So it's written. A friend of mine described it as the 5e books are written as like they're I don't remember the word, but it's sort of telling a story, not as a technical read. You know, I've discovered I paid for the D&D Beyond DM's Guide Player's Handbook, and I find that a lot easier to navigate.
Okay.
In all fairness, I mean, I'm still on 2E train. So,
and it's a great thing to hear, because that's that's where we all love the game. I mean, it's just all three of us up here. Um, okay, so your campaign setting, what's it called? And I think it's in the here. Let me get to it. Let me flip through.
It's Arterra. My world is Arterra.
Okay.
I know one of the illustrations you had rotating around too had one of those magic items I was talking about. It was really cool.
Let me see here. So we
the,
have
the dwarf homestones, or is that the thing you're talking about, or was it just the axes?
The gnome. It was a gnome. Yeah, there he is.
The dwarven, the gnomish cutter. Yeah,
Yeah.
they could cut through stone, like mine things. Yeah.
Yes. A lot of really cool, just practice. I mean, it makes sense, but it's that texture and cultural and feel, the aesthetic of it that goes with all those different cultures. It's awesome.
Thanks.
So the Lands of Lunacy, is that the same as the Arterra setting, or is that something this setting
It's
guide is
not.
different?
It's not. That's something totally different. That's
Okay.
The Lands of Lunacy was created because we had a group of players who had kids and life, and they couldn't show up every week. But we didn't want to re-roll new players every friggin' time that one person or two people didn't show up. So the Lands of Lunacy operates a little bit like Ravenloft, in that there's these pocket dimensions floating around the Chaos Void. So you can take off into a pocket dimension, have an entire adventure, pop back, and no time has passed in Prime Material Plane.
Okay. Neat.
Nice.
They're in confined little bubbles of reality, like a Wintry Turtle is one of those. That I took a seasonal job at Target one year, and I was organizing snow globes, and I was like, there's a whole little world in there, and I was like, there's a whole little world in there. I wrote this.
It's awesome.
I'm sorry I do not have your publication for your actual setting out. I thought,
Right.
As far as snips go, is it available on Drive-Thru RPG, and can you explain it a little bit?
Yeah, it's available on Drive-Thru RPG, and there's a review out there from our favorite reviewer who is right. It does do better in 1E than it does in 5E, because
Okay.
I agree with him on it. And after he posted a review, I reread it, and he's all right. He likes it for 1E better than 5E, and that's where it is. But it does what it does. It's got a super simple sanity setting. That's wisdom +3 per level. They operate like hit points. Really easy to navigate. I had some help. I had one of the Ravenloft writers help me create the boss monster. Shoot.
That's okay. Sometimes we get old, man, and the brain goes. The brain goes sometimes, man. Trust me. It's okay.
I feel like I'm doing a disservice to my contributor there. So, but anyway, so yeah, I mean, it was just something that I slapped together because I needed a way to explain why we could still adventure with the same characters when some of the players weren't at the table.
That's a cool idea.
Jay's used the Gilligan's Island metaphor, where it's like
bed editing. The next episode of the TV show, why is Marianne missing the entire episode?
Yeah,
it just happens. That's what we.
But somebody pops in and then they're gone.
Yes,
it's like Gilligan's Island.
Sure, but as a DM, it's always a huge pain in the ass to put an NPC stamp on somebody's forehead and have them go through as an adventure like a zombie that you control. When they're a really dynamic character, and it's kind of not fair. What if there's a TPK? What if you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
As a DM, I didn't want to take control of that, so I was like, here's the situation where a hobgoblin emerges out of the side of a tree, and you find yourself in another world when you touch the tree, and we're off on an adventure. That character is wherever they are.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Everyone has a little different way of handling it. That's where we have what's called joint experience groups on 1E, 2E, where we have a pool of characters. A lot of them I can have multiple characters in case we need to do a fill-in with a character and multiple guys are missing. I don't like canceling nights. My time on this planet is limited, right? All see how we're on the downward part of the cusp right now, probably in the 50s. So I want to get as much playtime as I can.
I'm 21. I don't know about you guys.
All right, Electromax asked this question twice. We got to answer it.
What is it?
Electromac 123's answered this question. How do you handle the turning of undead in 1E2E? What, like when the clerk goes and there's skeletons and zombies and rolls it up? What do you do?
What do I do?
You know, in the game, what happens? They get turned, they run away, or if they're destroyed, they get destroyed. They run away from the whole party. He's asking some general questions there because it's kind of vague.
In my mind, if they're destroyed, they're non-animated. If they are turned, they do everything they can to get away from you, but it's once per encounter.
Right, that's the same with me. Turning attempts are once per encounter. I agree. Now this is what we do. Say there's 5 ghouls and you turn all 5 and they run away. The minute someone attacks them, they're unturned. That's what we do. The minute someone tries to destroy them, like a fighter goes up and hacks them, they're going to attack the fighter back. That's what we do via rule. Just makes things work for us. So,
right.
Don't know how you handle that, but or they keep on running. But it's good to have some different rules. What was the product that Lloyd mentioned? The simple sanity rules. Didn't catch a name. Would love to buy it. That's Chuck Cumbell, Troller Games /Babunski.
It's Lands of Lunacy, and it's on Drive-Thru-RPG.
Yeah, it's this one right here. I'll link it to you right now, Chuck. It's on Drive-Thru-RPG, and it is. Boom, 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 boom. We'll talk about some of these others.
Yeah, and it's like so super simple.
Yes.
Glenn Hallstrom did a video on it for me. He did a review. He calls it Ravenloft Light, and he's right, because even in that short, I don't even know how many pages that was, 28, 30 pages, there's a short adventure in there even. That's it. So it's not complicated. And I put in a bunch of tables and stuff for insanity effects and things that you see somebody's skin melting off their face all the time. And I added those things because at a convention table, I felt that sometimes I had players who weren't engaged in the game by no fault of their own or my own. It's just we're at a convention. So if I gave them a thing to role play, sort of like whose line is it anyway, if I handed them a piece of paper that said, it looks like everybody's skin is melting off their face, suddenly they were part of the game again. So,
well, that would do it.
Yeah.
Well, it gives you a thing to grab onto, because when you're at a convention play, you're not committed to your character like you are in a whole game.
Yeah.
That is true. Very true.
Like insanity rules.
Yeah, but I find, I don't know about you, Lloyd, with reputation comes better players at conventions. I don't know. As you get your name out there, the players, they sign up early. Thanks, Chuck. Carlos Lysing, diamond level GaryCon people sign up for his game, right? Which is a great thing. So I think as as your name, you get those players, and just an observation there.
Well, I've run some terrible convention games, and I apologize to anybody that sat in them, but it happens. And the aha moment for me was watching Mike Merles run one of his streams. And it occurred to me that he was planning about one encounter every 45 minutes. And that was when my convention games started to change.
Yeah,
because I didn't have to sum up at the end of the gaming session.
That's an absolute point. Like for my heart, like last Saturday, Horror in the Holes, Chuck played the dreaded Fritz Winchester in that. Thank you, Chuck. And Jason Zavoda played Dex, the Misunderstood, a Clark Necromancer. You limit the encounters, you limit the combat. Yeah, I think I had 3, and that was it. And it lasted. What did that last? 5.5 hours, Chuck. It went a while, and so you have to do it. You have to do stuff like that.
You do, and you can't stuff like an entire adventure, which is something akin to like 24 encounters or something, into a 4-hour session at a convention.
Yep.
You have to give them the preview version.
You have to give all the players Helms of Brilliance, and you can.
No. Speaking of that,
and then they all make it through.
Let's link this real quick, guys. Boom. You guys can read that. I'll talk about it at the end of the night. So speaking of that new add-on we're doing shortly. All right. So the Everdark Maximum Zine 2 HP.
Yes.
We got to talk about this. You didn't steal something from Tim. It's just ironic. We have Tim. Explain the Mongrels of the Putrid Tongue to Lloyd, please.
The mongrels of it says in the Monster Manual 1E, the original AD&D Monster Manual, orcs will breed with anything.
Yep.
And so early on,
Orcs,
I came up with the idea of the mongrels, a bunch of these half breeds that formed a group together, and so they were breeding with different creatures. Now Jay took the idea and made it even worse. So I mean, I invented the tongue tool, which is mongrels of the putrid tongue.
Do you have it there?
Instead of scalping, I have it. I can grab it, but I don't have it with me.
Okay.
But they'll instead of taking a scalp, they'll knock you senseless and then cut your tongue out as their trophy, because they don't want to kill you. They just want to take the tongue.
Yep.
And then they'll, the real good ones will have a bunch of them, and they'll nail them to their shield, and their shaman will cast Animate Dead on them, so the tongues will be undulating on the shield, creating a horror effect.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
So
I love it.
I'll tell the story again. The very first time a player character went down, and it was a half orc, half goblin, went down on top of him, and as I'm describing him, grabbing, leaning on his chin, opening his mouth, and just scooping in there, and just and pulling the tongue out. It just, the horror on Jay's face was like,
it wasn't my character.
It wasn't his character, but the horror of everybody's like,
yeah.
Oh,
you attack an Odium, there's 100 spirits saying, "Oh, it tastes like shit."
Well, yeah, the guy had been knocked down to 0 hit points,
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, so mongrels. That's mongrels of the putrid tongue. That's how they were formed. But you have something that's similar to a mongrel.
The Troblins. Chris Clark
wrote the Troblins. Yeah. They're like a goblin troll crossbreed, inspired a little bit by Steve Marsh made a great contribution to that too. And not to be outdone, Chris Clark was like, "Well, I got some stuff for you." Unfortunately, he told me like after the Kickstarter had already like launched and whatnot. So this time I contacted Chris before the Kickstarter for the 003. I'm like, "Do you want to put something in?" He's like, "Yes." But yeah, they're tough, man. The troll goblin crossbreed. But that's
tough.
Let's talk about that Steve Marsh city that I can't pronounce. That's like a Mesopotamian name. Like, wow, there's undead. There's like white and orc, zombie drow. It's not a low-level city, and it's like not for the faint of heart.
In 2, right?
Yeah, in 002.
Tenochtitlan.
I had to Google the pronunciation, but I mean, it's really a great idea. It's not like Menzo Baranzian. It's
once again, guys, this is all in Maximum Zine 2, and that's available on Drive-Thru-RPG in PDF, and probably you have some print copies left as well.
Sure, and if you've been living under a rock, you don't know who Steve Marsh is, and you play 2nd edition, I don't know what else to say to you.
Yeah.
But he created a lot of the aquatic races. He was a huge contributor to psionics, and just a generally cool guy.
And there's some really cool magical items here too. Channeled Warhammer, a binding ring.
Mm-hmm.
Some really neat stuff in that magic items of Tenochtitlan. Here's the gnomish cutter you're talking about, Tim. It's a special deep gnome hand axe, and it gets a +3 versus stone-based creatures. It's a really cool picture. I didn't snip it. I may have snipped. Yeah, I did. I think I got this on the snip.
I've seen
That's
it
a piece of
couple
Chet
times.
Minton art. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Let me see if I can pop up 2 here. I turned the scroller off just so we could talk about certain things.
That art from Chet Minton is old school pen and ink drawings.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely there's the Tenochtitlan cover we're talking about
It's named after, like, I think, is that what?
Tenochtitlan.
it's
Yeah,
Something.
that's the original name of, like, Mexico City back in the ancient Aztecs, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Tenochtitlan, yeah.
there it is. There's the Gnomish cutter. I mean,
And
it's
And
such great artwork.
that's my daughter's artwork on there.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Those arachnidic horses. Oh my god.
Some fantastic stuff, data that is at your fingertips just for a small amount.
And here's the thing about the reviews that where I don't mind screwing up and nothing has to be perfect, because in 001 one of the reviewers said, well, there's no GP and XP value for magic items, and I find that irritating. And they were right. It is irritating. And so in 002, I put that in.
I see that. But that doesn't irritate me at all. It doesn't irritate Tim at all, because we don't give out experience for money or for items. We give it out for combat and for, I understand.
Yeah.
People are different. It's different. Everyone has a different game style.
But it's valid though, because in the old school D&D books, it's there.
Absolutely.
I do for my daughter and my son to fast track them.
Yeah, but it's a kid's game, and you want them to be enthralled by the game. I understand. Come on, we were so Monty Hall when we were kids. Lloyd, did you play a Monty Hall game when you were young?
Holy smack! My one of my best characters was a wacky level cavalier who I had a Monty Hall DM, and I knew that he was going to be DM, and we had wishes on board, so I pulled out, like, I wish that I had a gold dragon, and there it was.
So one more time here, I'll put this up a couple more times just so you have it. There is the link to Maximum HP Design 3 Kickstarter, and then 1 and 2 are available on Drive-Thru-RPG right now. So go under Fail Squad Games. That's where they are as Revener. And thank you so very much for joining our Discord recently and subbing today. I really appreciate it. You have some spells in here too. You have some spells in
a couple that I thought were useful.
Yeah. Soul Shade is pretty neat. You know, and it's kind of like we have a thing called the Ring of the Drow, that so their items do not deteriorate in sunlight. That's what this spell does as well. So for Everdark elves, when they
essentially sunblock.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, definitely.
Daywalkers.
Thermal Veil, Myconid Kin, another neat spell.
Mm-hmm.
Essence of fungi around the caster. Kind of
like
you
don't set up shriekers.
Yeah. So another really neat. Hey, Bishop there. Bishop, thank you for coming back. I know we met over and talked over at Gary Con, especially, I believe, during Stefan's game, I believe it was. Thank you so very much. The swirling, there's traps in the Underdark as well. The swirling pool. This is disgusting. A baghead devouring is wedged among the rocks at the very bottom of the pool. That's really nasty.
So let's talk about this trap for a second, because I didn't realize that a bag of devouring operated like it does. So I gave my party a bag of devouring in my head, thinking that you could put something in and take it out, and it would still be there, but a turn later it would disappear. So they would put stuff in, take it out, put stuff in, take it out. So this whole adventure, they stuffed, I bet, like I don't know, like $5,000 or $6,000 worth of gold pieces stuffed into this bag of devouring. Not understanding that if they put something organic in, that there's a percent chance that they'd be pulled in. I never read the details.
Yeah, permanently gone too, which is really, really disturbing.
So, but according to if you read it carefully, somewhere in the world, there's the bunghole of the bag of devouring that spits out inorganic material.
I never read that. Did you read that, Tim? I never know that.
It sounds like Thor Ragnarok is what it sounds like, the movie.
Yeah, so if you've got a bag of devouring somewhere else, it could be spewing out like the indigestible bits. So I thought if you stuff a bag of devouring and opened it up underwater, it's going to just create this vortex to suck things in. But it may be somewhere in a cavern far above, it's also spewing out the inorganics and water that it's sucking in, so you could be
It's creating a water world somewhere else.
Yes. So like in this cavern above this other cavern, in my mind, there's like a butt ton of gold pieces and armor and things that I couldn't digest. I don't know.
Yes, Gary. Conservation of matter and energy. That's so funny. The bag of plenty, Gitana says. Yeah, in more than one way. That's definitely comical. So, for any of those who jumped in the middle, I'm going to say this again. Um, Lloyd has been kind enough to give away 2 sets of publications, 6 each, for 2 giveaways, one for our subs and one for a general sign up, which anyone can do. Please be on at the end and be on through this so that we can enjoy the rest of this conversation and give Lloyd the courtesy of that. I really appreciate it, guys. Normally, during a 4 or 5 hour game, I'm like, hey, you guys can't. I mean, you're watching me play D&D for 5 hours. You know, that's a little bit. This you guys can hang in there on this one. So thank you all for that. Really,
but there's 100 people watching.
I
mean,
told you. See, you didn't believe me. I told you that, man. People,
it?
listen. We got our act together here. It's all Tim. So no, thank you all so very much. This is the direction. So we all know there's a comeback coming. Number one reason, this is sad to say, is people are stuck in their houses. This is an opportunity. I saw an opportunity at GaryCon, and you go to GaryCon every year. The VTT was awesome. So, oh my gosh, my mom's calling me.
But I'm on staff for GaryCon. I'm on staff for North Texas RPG Con too, right. and it really was amazing how the entire community came together, and we slapped together a virtual GaryCon in less than a week, and we had artwork come in for the virtual GaryCon shirts, just the fiasco that I had to manage with it's my job to deal with the website and setting it up and the shopping cart and stuff, and just like we transferred servers just before GaryCon, thinking it wouldn't be a big deal because we shut down the GaryCon store when GaryCon is like a week out. But the opposite happened, where we ramped it up when the virtual GaryCon started. So when we transferred those servers, everything went from ounces for product weight to kilograms, and I couldn't figure out what the hell happened. There was a lot of things that happened, but we all pulled it together. The entire team did amazing stuff. Being on staff at GaryCon is like the highlight of everything I ever wanted to do. Luke has been very supportive. The entire team has been supportive. When I started AppleCon, I've got a core group of people from the GaryCon staff that come out to AppleCon and help me out. Yeah, it's great. Awesome. It's been great.
It was amazing to see when it was canceled, just to see how fast it went from a convention to virtual. It was, to me, I was impressed by all that.
We had maybe 20 or 30 virtual events, and then we had 600.
It was amazing, and let me tell you, we almost had 100 signups for our streaming seminar. And it was a record. It broke Len Lakofka. There, I said him twice tonight. It broke Len Lakofka's record for viewer average on my channel, on this channel. It smashed it. That one, it was crazy.
It's probably the second time in my life that I've been put in the same category as Len Lakofka. That's pretty magical.
Virtual is a great it's a great thing. And I think that's a lot of the Renaissance. We're pushing back a Greyhawk Renaissance. We're attempting to, and I want to keep the old school alive, and that's why one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about all that. So.
Virtual GaryCon was groundbreaking. I mean, Tim Kask. Let's face facts. Tim Kask isn't a young man, but now he's talking about, I'm going to run Wheel of Blame digitally, like all the time.
Good.
Well, there's people who could have never made it to a convention that can make it to a virtual convention.
And Gaetano is the example. Gaetano Lafavi, a great sub of, oh my gosh. All right, Tim, do some talking. My mom, I gotta talk to her. It's my mother.
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
Probably an emergency. Yeah.
All right, no problem. But doing just the speed at which it all happened, and just I guess he was saying Gaetano. I couldn't remember who he specifically referred to earlier, but I know he said there was there was someone who couldn't ever make it to a convention because real life gets in the way, cost,
Sure,
travel,
yeah. We had people
and
from New Zealand coming in and joining games.
that's awesome. And then there's the fact that you can only physically show up to, you only can do a couple things, but virtually, if the schedule's right, you can take part in way more.
Sure, and Heath Farndon, we love Heath Farndon, and he came and did photography for us one year. But he's going to be on on a plane for something like 18 hours or some wacky thing like that to get here from Australia. But he got to take part in Virtual GaryCon again this year, and I really feel like he was a core piece of that again. So going forward, we have staff meetings like at least weekly in the off season, and we've all agreed that continuing Virtual GaryCon will be a large piece of GaryCon moving forward.
That'll be awesome. I know Jason. Jason made a comment. He says he can't do it. He's got some limitations, physical limitations, and can't make it to a con.
Yeah.
So he can take part in all these though. So
and let's face it, the Grand Geneva, as much as I love the Grand Geneva, isn't always great if somebody has a wheelchair challenge or something like that. I mean, it's just the physical layout of the place is a little weird. So yeah, I think it offers a great opportunity, and people like our core TSR guys like Tim Kask embracing it and saying, I'm committed to not just GaryCon, but to getting as many people in my game as I can, any way that I can, is magical.
It is, and that is the great thing about this time frame. You got to make the best of a bad situation around, in the country and around the world. Mm-hmm. And yeah, my mother's crazy. You know that, Tim. I'm sorry.
We don't. But Jay, we were just talking about, like Jason and a few. He can't make it to a con, but now he can take part in it. People whose jobs, like you said, Gaetano. I don't remember this.
Gaetano LaFavi. Gaetano made it to PAX Unplugged, and he played in both my games because he lives in Philly. He can't go. He's not going to GaryCon. Gaetano was part of 12 events, watched or played in 12 events during Virtual GaryCon.
There was a story. Yeah.
12. That's insane. He's on now.
Never do it on a weekend, right? You can never do it for
no. And I streamed 6. It's insane.
Drink enough Moxie, buddy. You can do anything you want.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So, but Greyhawk Mike Bridges brings up the thing. There's seeing people in person. There's nothing like it. That's true. That's true.
It's absolutely true. And I personally enjoy the gaming in person with my friends. I like sharing pizza and kicking them under the table and doing that kind of stuff. But you know what? If you've got like a physical limitation or mental limitation or whatever, and virtual is the next best thing, there's no reason why we shouldn't embrace it. I mean, we live in this age where look at this chat we're on. This is like some Star Trek crap that we're doing.
Yeah, dude. Come on, man. Gotta get with it. We were talking and I know.
Phases for stun.
Yeah. I think when we first talked, or was it you, Lloyd, or Scott? And he said, you do a podcast? I'm like, no, I don't do podcasts.
I do a podcast. I started one because I'm at home all the time. What the hell?
Yeah, podcasts are great. I'm just saying, the live streaming is really a great futuristic thing. Tim really took to it. And look, and you know how much Tim took to it? His head is in the middle here as an emote for our critical hits right here. I'm going to expand it. There's Tim's head. The Tim loves another critical emote, right? There you go. It's right there.
Hit.
Yep. So, a lot of my other friends were like, I don't want you using my head. But Tim was like, he took right to it. So
sure. And Greyhawk Mike says virtual is better economic choice. And you're right. Not everybody can throw down the lake. That Grand Geneva is expensive to stay in, and it costs money to get your tickets, and it costs money to get a flight.
Also for young people, if you want to get them involved.
Yeah, right. So how can we expect somebody who's like 18 years old and like in their first apartment to slap out $1,200 to go to a con?
It is a true statement, very true, that there is, there are people that really cannot there's financial limitations. When I was in college, I couldn't go. That was one of the great things back in the day. There was a Gen Con East back then. Jason Zavoda went to all of them, and there was at Widener College, and Glassboro had them, and Cherry Hill had them, and I only went to one or two of them. Tim and I never went. We went to.
I've never been to one.
But we went to Tuxedo, New York.
Went to a Renaissance
We went to the
Festival.
Ren Fairs in New York, up in New York State.
Buxom ladies.
Yeah. So that's what we did back then, and back in the day. But it was you didn't even think about it. Like, wow, the stuff we missed when we were younger.
Yeah.
So, Lloyd, where do you see? Let me hold off on that. Let me talk about one or two other publications real quick. Then we'll get to that. Those damn goblins. You kind of like this one. This is done by Chris.
I like this one because Chris Clark, my friend Chris Clark, who's been a great supporter of me. What happened with Those Damn Goblins is he called me one day and he said, "Hey, I haven't seen anything from Fail Squad Games recently. Here's something." So he whipped this out in like a remarkably short amount of time. I added to it. Bob Brinkman added some pieces to it. Those Damn Goblins. Chris Clark is the master of dad jokes. That's why Damn Goblins it's not a typo. It's goblins that are rigging a dam that is in front of a town, and you got to save them. But these old guys. But here's the thing. Here's why virtual is so great, and I'm going to link this all together in this wacky conversation. If you're in your 20s and you're writing adventures and you're thinking about making adventures, there's no reason why you shouldn't have access to these old school guys that have done this for a while, because these old school guys have really helped me out. And this is one of those examples. Those Damn Goblins. Chris Clark wrote the core of this adventure because he didn't want to see me have to take a regular day job.
That's great.
I did take a regular day job still, but I mean that's okay. It's like, hey, you need to make this happen, and we whipped it out, and it's a great adventure. I think it's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of side quests. It's not just a one shot. It's an adventure that you could potentially play for. Shoot, I ran it for 4 or more sessions once. It's got a lot of extra stuff. It's got a lot of side tracks. There's a goblin. Is an albino goblin with a ferret mount in there. That I thought was Bob Brinkman's contribution. That I thought was really interesting.
So I'm glad to see that you have some other individuals participating or assisting you. That's awesome.
I opened up Maximum HP to submissions, and that was the best thing I ever did. After 1E, I wrote all on my own. And people kept asking me if they could make submissions, and I closed it off, and I regretted it. But starting with 002 and 003, I'm taking submissions, and I love it. It's like the stuff that people send me is junk that I would never think of, and I can expand on. And I mean, it's great.
Who else do we know? Let's see. You got Tim Cass, Chris Clark. Who else do we know that has contributed?
Bob Brinkman. I mean, Luke Gygax is a big part of my world, of course. But I mean, he hasn't written anything for me. I don't ask a lot of the lieutenant colonel. I just do whatever he says.
Timmy's the same rank as you.
I honestly can't remember. Steve Miller was the contributing person that was part of Ravenloft that contributed to Lands of Lunacy.
Excellent.
A number of people. Jim Ward has helped me with helping organizing my outlines in how to write stuff and how to organize stuff. Chris Clark is great in his advice. He always keeps telling me to ask myself why. Why is that so? Why is that so? So I don't end up with a menagerie of a red dragon next to kobolds next to something.
Yeah, kind of like Tegel Manor.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I know it's Tim's favorite, but I had to.
But even before whatever happened, Frank Menser took me to Evercon and introduced me to those folks, and like Evercon was probably one of my earlier guest appearances at a convention, You know, I mean, everybody's got, but there's people that have never published anything that have a valuable contribution to what I do, because it's really part of my world to think about like what people are saying. What are they, you know, what are their reviews saying? What's their contribution?
Yeah. So if anyone, all right. So if anyone has on Twitch, if you have a soundbar on Twitch and it's all the way maxed and you haven't touched it, it's not on. You have to actually touch that sound, and then it'll move it. It's one of those weird things with the Twitch browser, especially if you're using it in Edge. So make sure you activate it, and then the sound will go pop up real loud. If anyone's ever seen that, I'm just trying to give you a little hint because of some sick people are saying they're having sound issues. 1,000 different things going on. So you will take. I saw you will take submissions.
Yeah, submissions are open for 003 right now, until I don't know, until I'm done taking submissions. But then I'll start taking. I haven't announced what 004 is yet. I haven't fully decided.
Okay.
I want to get through. I'm still delivering 002. I just ordered the prints of those last week. They should be in this week coming up.
What is the date target? I saw this Kickstarter's got about 2 weeks left.
The Kickstarter has exactly 2 weeks left. I set my delivery for June. I think we're going to deliver well before that, which is what I do for most of my Kickstarters.
Well, that's good, because getting that out into people's hands, I think that now's the time to capitalize. It's a great idea. Tim, what questions do you have? Ask your proficiency question, please.
I was just
Non-weapons.
a non-weapon proficiency question.
Yeah, you have a whole system.
Yeah, I've just been choosing what I'm going to accept in my city-state campaign. What do you have? Like, typically, if you had to choose, Lloyd, what would you have? Do you do, like, what do you use for your non-weapon proficiency source? Is your primary source?
I use my players as my primary source, because I think even though the 2E non-weapon proficiency list is extensive, I think it's pointless, because I think you should be able to take anything as a non-weapon proficiency. I had an illusionist who was an exquisite tailor, and he really enjoyed making shoes. But it was an essential piece of this character, you know. I mean, if a player comes to you and says, I don't even know what to come up with. I like to carve scrimshaw in oliphant tusks. Then yeah, that's a non-weapon proficiency.
I see non-weapon proficiencies as basically a way to help people be more creative with their characters, even if they don't come up with their own ideas, like people adding to it. But sometimes it gives them ways to think about how people are all going to be. You know, it's like a feeder for deepening and broadening their characters.
That's just it, you know. And one of my approaches to non-weapon proficiency is everybody can friggin', if you throw them in the water, they'll think about dog paddling right quick. But somebody with a swimming proficiency is Greg Louganis, you know, or something like that. So, if somebody comes at me with a non-weapon proficiency that I hadn't thought of, like needlepoint or something, I'm like, okay, you're damn good at needlepoint, and you can make tapestries that are worth money if you invest the time and materials and is part of your character, you know. But yeah, it's a character building tool, and I don't particularly, I'm not keen on where it went in. And again, I don't want to throw this dart across the board, but here we are, into 5e, where it turned into like backgrounds turned into like these stats and stuff. Non proficiency, yeah, exactly. That should be where, like, I want to be a pirate, where you could be a fighter, or you could be a thief, but you could still be a pirate, or magic user, or cleric.
The pirate's what you do. A thief is kind of your career skill set.
Yes.
Like a Viking is not a class; it's a what you do.
This is one, and the reason I brought this up was this is one where Lloyd and I agree, and Tim and I disagree, but this is okay. But that's what Tim's campaign's a little different. I only have 2 characters.
Yeah.
In the entire campaign, it's been going on since the 80s, and we have 19 adventuring groups in my campaign. Imagine just you don't even want to know. 40 years of gaming, this is what happens. So almost 900 adventures done. So it gets a little. It's an immersive, huge mega world.
Sure.
But that's just a little difference. So every DM's different. Just wanted to get a little feedback on that.
What's different, Jay? I was missing the big difference.
Well, what's different is I don't use those non-weapon proficiencies at all. I allow them to do whatever they want to do. There's some minor things that are different, like we have that maester, which Bill built, and that allows you to do a couple of those classes as well.
I like them because, quite frankly, I've got some. I can wrap some wire around an exotic stone, but I've got some friends that make jewelry out of it that I want to pay money for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I introduced it when I was in college, when the Wilderness Survival Guide came out. Wilderness Survival.
Yeah. Was it Wilderness or was it Dungeoneers that introduced NWP?
And I guess Oriental Adventures had it as well. And I had a guy who took rope use, and he had some of the most amazing ideas and things he did. He had lasso as a weapon proficiency.
Hey, have you ever seen a sailor dock a ship?
Yeah.
You just wave the rope and you're bound.
You wouldn't see somebody have somebody set up a shelter who doesn't know how to tie knots, and have somebody who do it. And it is, because I had to study knots because I was helping with some scouting. So I had to study myself. And
that's the difference. That's the difference. I think anybody can figure it out if you give them a couple of hours, 4 hours to whack something together to make a shelter. But if you got somebody who's got rope use and wilderness survival, you've got a shelter inside.
Yeah, they'll do it in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's my feelings on it. And everybody's, like you said, though, everybody's game is different.
Which is the greatness of D&D. That's
and to be fair, I haven't had to manage as many different player sets and incidents as Jay has. Mine's much more limited.
Yeah, so because I've got it right here,
Yeah.
It's always within reach.
Gotta have the old school stuff within reach.
I do like also. I'll say this too. I incorporated this with my kids, where the martial arts aspect of the Oriental Adventures and creating the martial arts and all the special advanced skills I feed into the NPC non-weapon proficiency slots as well, so they can do.
And let's talk punching and wrestling, because I once had a gully dwarf who was specialized in punching and wrestling. Remarkable character, but the standard punching wrestling table kind of sucks. But if I added some non-weapon proficiency stuff to it, my DM allowed me, because I had non-weapon proficiency, to have my own specialized move. So my gully dwarf was really proficient in grabbing people around the neck. But that's the thing that makes you excited about playing your character, when you feel like you've added a piece to the game and to the story. And that's where really non-weapon proficiencies are highlight player cooperative storytelling.
Yeah.
Good discussion on that. So let's talk about some of these other publications I have snipped while we have time. Annihilation Rising. I saw it and I started reading the prelude on this. I was like, they're Tarrasques. I was like, right?
Yes, and that is multiple Tarrasques.
For levels 4 to 5, guys.
Yes, and that critter on top of the mountain is waiting. Yeah, that's a thing. So there's a cultist raising, but to be fair though, the lesser Tarrasques are lesser Tarrasques.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the one.
But sometimes there's this thing where DMs are afraid to have an Earthshaker, and I allow Annihilation Rising to happen in Lands of Lunacy. So if you don't want to unleash this in your own game world, you can do it in this pocket dimension where your world doesn't get upset. Right.
It is good to have those. It's like it's fun
I
to do that.
love that crap where you can just like the world, like you're the heroes of the world and it's falling down around you and you're like, whoa, and every once in a while you gotta have one of those, like where you bought a ticket for your seat, but you only have to use the front edge.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that you had a little fun with it. That's cool. You took a monster, there's one in existence, and you created something out of it. And that's neat.
Yeah.
That's a neat idea. So
Like, it's short. And it really is like a
Bishop,
one
I'll
or
get to your
two
que-
shot.
I'll get to
Yeah.
your question. Bishop had a non-Lloyd question. Bogey of Brindle.
Mhm.
Okay, this is a multiple parter, right? You have the sequel after this, if I recall.
There is a sequel after this, and I haven't released the third one
Okay.
yet.
Give us a little base on this one.
Should I
The
spill
Boogeyman?
out-
Is it a Boogeyman? The Boogie of Brindle?
Is there spoilers? Can I give out spoilers?
A slight one, if you'd like to. If
All
not,
right. Well, I mean, it's it's a lot of kobolds. I love kobolds. I'm
Okay.
a kobold guy. So this is a kobold adventure. There's a town, an entire town, but like I said before, this is an entire town of bootlegging goblins who have this problem of these like dark haunts that are haunting their fields, and so liquor isn't going to the human town where there's a celebration coming. So that's a problem. So you go and investigate. There's an unusual kobold there, and no, the bogies are actually, well, spoiler alert. So if you're going to play this adventure, plug your ears. Spoiler alert. These are really kobolds in disguise. They're like, they're on top of each
It's
other's shoulders.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah,
It's like Scooby goddamn Doo. It's exactly what
or the
inspired
twofold
this.
talisman in the Dragon magazines. Like,
So,
you know.
well, these kobolds have access to illusion and stuff, So they're scaring the hell out of the goblins,
awesome.
and then they go steal whatever they want from the town. Yeah, but there's a new kobold in there that's an aquatic kobold, an Arctic aquatic kobold that I particularly enjoy.
Very cool. That is awesome. All right, here's the sequel. Brindlemarsh.
Brindlemarsh. Yep, comes up next.
Little, it looks like a dragon to me.
Yeah, there's a black dragon in there. It's a little more dangerous. The kobolds are hatching a black dragon egg in a pool of acid.
Okay.
So it gets a lot more dangerous than there's an abandoned dwarven hold that you're in.
Cool.
In a swamp that sucks.
Does that say 1E and 5E? So it's in both?
Yes, this is while I was experimenting
Okay.
with 1E and 5E in the same publication, and I've stopped doing that because the two systems have diverted so much
Right.
that I'm literally writing two adventures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Falls Keep. What about this one?
Falls Keep is a short one-off side quest. This was only like I'm trying to remember, 8 pages.
Okay.
It's short.
I see this one's written in 5E.
Yes,
And 1E as well, I believe. It's both. I think it's Swords and Wizardry, or is it Labyrinths? Labyrinths? It's one of those.
I can't remember if this was LL or S&W. I think this
Okay.
might have been Swords and Wizardry.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just a side adventure, and I did a short handful of these where I only delivered in PDF through the Kickstarter. They're just like 8 to 12 pages or something like that, and
Nothing wrong with that.
it's like this great thing. I personally feel like this is the thing that's missing in 5e is you can't go to Wizards of the Coast and get a 20-page adventure or a 10-page adventure.
It's mega.
Yeah, they're doing
Arcs.
these like 300-page things.
Yeah.
So like we all need is side quests, So.
That's so true. That's a true statement. The side quest fills a night when you just want to get together with your friends and play something. Definitely.
Or when
Yeah.
they decide that they're going to do something different.
Yeah.
Than the big adventure.
Yes.
we can-
Unless you shoehorn them into a specific set, which kind of like isn't as fun necessarily for some of them, is you got to have some other alternative.
Right. Wicked Studios is right. The DMs Guild is full of them. You're right, but official WotC doesn't release
Yeah.
side quests, but whatever. So it's a side quest adventure. You can do it in a one shot. It's a short Wizard's Tower thing.
And this you just surpassed to go into your Kickstarter into Design 3, correct?
I did Maestro Farley's Circus of Wonder. It's mostly a wilderness adventure.
Beautiful.
It starts in town, but it's a wilderness adventure. It's got some wacky introductory encounters. I don't know how many spoilers I want to
don't give away
out there, but
don't give away
anyway. Yeah.
There's goblins in Lord lawyer wigs and things on the highway.
Good. A little fun never hurt anyone. That is awesome. Yeah. So then there's a lot of other ones I did not snip. Okay, guys, there's a whole fair amount of them, and it's exciting. It really is. Let me start rerunning this again.
Sure. And I'm not hardcore grognard. Right now I'm working on writing a 5e adventure. It's just that my preference is in 1e. That's all.
So where are you headed? What do you think is in store for Lloyd Metcalf next? What do you want? What's the end game? Do you want to just continue? Just tell us a little bit of what you'd like to see happen and what your intentions are.
Well, frankly, I mean, the day job that I took to help pay bills is dissolved, like a lot of people in this country right now. So I'm at home, and I found that I'm excited to get back into working on this stuff again. So I've just been cranking out content. I've just been creating encounters and sharing them in the 1E group and on my Facebook page for Maximum HP a lot. So right now, I have a 5e in my head that I would really like to get out the door. I was talking to who is it that Alyssa's working for right now? Dwarf. I want to get the name wrong. Dwarf Forge.
Oh, you mean Stefan Picorni, Dwarven Forge?
No. She's Alyssa. Not Alyssa. I'm sorry, Anna.
Oh, Cobalt Press.
No. Wait, I'm wrong again. It's Alyssa, and she's working for Dwarf.
Anna's working on a secret project right now.
No. Alyssa's working on this big map.
Okay.
Well, anyway, we were
Frog God. Anna says Frog God. She's working on. Alyssa's working on something for Frog God.
It's dwarf something.
No, Anna's guessing.
It's got to do with.
We know Anna's
paying attention.
Chuck says Troller Games. Truck says it's Troller. It's them.
Noble Dwarf. There it is, Anna.
Noble
Thank
Dwarf. You. Oh my gosh.
Alyssa's working for Noble Dwarf, and they put Cluckingham Palace on the map during a stream recently. Cluckingham Palace is what I call my hen house, and I'm writing an adventure for Cluckingham Palace, and I offered them dibs on my Cluckingham Palace adventure that I want to write too. So. I'm just excited. I'm seeing this as an opportunity. It's a global tragedy, yes, but it's really an opportunity. I'm home. I'm thinking about D&D. I want to help people connect digitally that wouldn't otherwise. I want to keep people gaming. We really need this. I feel like we really need this distraction, this escapism sort of thing. Once in a while, shut off Facebook and play D&D, and I'm hoping that I can help people make that connection and put out something that they want to play. And if it sucks, I'm hoping that they overlook that part that sucks and tell me that it sucks so I can learn from it and make it better next time.
That is great to hear, because that's what we all need. A little cheer in people's lives is a big thing. And I talked to this, believe it or not, I talked with this with Stefan Picorni and his partner. And I apologize for, I think it's Anne, not remembering her name 100%, but during a break in the show, and I said, people need this. Thank you. It was a 7.5 hour long stream, but people loved it and people need it. And that's the same thing. Right now, we all need this distraction. And thank you so very much, Richard Gamer Meth. Really appreciate it. I'm I'm throwing them all on there, as many as I can, to this final drawing too.
Oh yeah! Exclamation point! Capital D drawing. Let's get in on that.
Yeah.
It's almost time.
We're gonna get going with this in a second. So I'm glad to hear that. Give us a quick tidbit, last announcement of what like a specific one or two things are going to be in Zine 3 for the Kickstarter. Get people to go to that Kickstarter, get signed up for it.
003 has wilderness, is wilderness themed. We're taking submissions now, so I'm a little hesitant to say exactly what's going to be in it because I want to look at submissions. Two things that we know that are going to be in it are more encounters. We're going to have Tim Kask is writing the feature article. Chris Clark is contributing again. We're going to include Maestro Farley's circus into the middle of it. So I think we're going to be well beyond the 50-page mark, which at some point I think we're leaving the zine format. I don't know. So it's looking great, though. I love it, and I've got a bunch of artwork that I already submitted. Some more Chet Minton art, some art from last time. There's new stuff coming in all the time, so I love it. I mean, I really like that it's not just my brain kicking stuff out. I like it's stuff that comes in, and then I think of stuff, and I'll write on top of it.
It is appreciated. It really is that you have gone to these lengths to help out with Old School. Really,
it's a community project. It really is. It's not. I'm the best thing I ever did was open it up to submissions because, I want this to be the zine or zine that everybody wants. No, it's really great. It's stuff that I would never think of, and just.
There's stuff that I do and there's stuff that Tim does. It's not Greyhawk that won't go in Earth journals because it's generic based Old School, and we'll both talk to you after this, I think, about some ideas we may have.
Yeah, I'm all in.
Tim needs to become published. It was a great honor to become published in the Earth Journal over a year ago. I think Tim, it's your turn for at least you and
for the future. I mean, I took submissions, I took ideas for future editions online, and I'm thinking maybe there needs to be a city and town thing. I think there needs to be a thieves. I think there needs to be a Cavalier Paladins edition. There's just it's never ending.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Definitely.
I like Old School Paladins.
Yeah, Old School Cavaliers. Well, thank you so very much, Lloyd. Let's do some quickie announcements. Then I promise for the two drawings. I'm going to make you sit through my announcements, guys. Tim, what do we got going? Look at this. All right. So we're getting closer. Watch, I'm going to hit the wrong button. The ever mysterious Tim's City State of the Invincible Overlord Saturday night special is not that far away, guys. Saturday, April 25th, 7 p.m.
We're not quite danger close, but we're getting close.
We're getting close. We're getting close on that. So
I've been taking my extra stay home time to, again, fine tune the non-weapon proficiency rules that I'm upgrading us to, and combat proficiency rules, where I'm integrating some of Lord Gazumba's combat proficiencies in there. So we're gonna have to do we're gonna have to do some retrofitting.
He gave in. He gave in, guys.
I like him, but some of them I'm like, no.
No head comes out. I understand that totally. I mean, it definitely.
And then of course, getting ready for the virtual version of it, so it's going to be a little bit different, but you're going to have some major social events of the season, as well as seeing the Overlord.
Good. That is a good thing. We need to finally see him. I'm excited. I haven't seen him. I saw him once, but we never met him. One time in 30 years, I saw him. So gaming. So that's a cool thing.
I've had to because I can't use the music that I want to use. I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate the
because we don't want our entire stream being completely shut off.
Yeah, so I'm not doing that. So I'm.
And you gotta be careful. I did that one time. I did that one time. I used royalty-free music, and it still got flagged and muted.
You got to be real careful. They flag me for my stratagem ads that stratagem has the rights to the music to. Every time on YouTube, it says I have copyright issues on every single post.
So even if you purchase it, it can still be an issue.
Yeah, and then you got to go through all this rigmarole. It's a pain, man. It's a major pain.
So I have an Irish drum and a few other things. So you might hear me doing a chant or two in live since I can't have any music.
So Lowe's question is, do you ever do a low-level adventure? The thing is with Tim, we get him so infrequently, I got to cherish those games. So maybe down the road with more time, Lowe, we'll do something else lower level. Maybe he'll do a new one where you're just a pawn in the city-state, which would be a lot of fun. Definitely.
Level 1 to 3 is my favorite zone.
It's a good
That's
time
my
to play.
red box zone. That's where I remember starting the game.
Yeah.
And I would be the city state's a little bit like how Anna describes her games. Hey, there is stuff there you shouldn't mess with at first level, and if you do, you're dead. I mean, that's just it.
What's up, Duff?
So
there's Duff. Jimmy Duffy just hopped on. Awesome. So Tim, thanks. I'm excited about that, guys. All right, so here's the content coming. Here it is. We got a huge week coming up. Huge. This kicks it off. I believe this is the beginning of the week. So Wednesday night, we have a little surprise, hopefully, on Legends and Lore. And Legends and Lore, gosh, where is it? Hopefully this is the right one. All right, so Living Greyhawk back. We do a discussion a month on Living Greyhawk. We have Joe Selby, Jay Lloyd, if you're still on, is coming on, and his friend, the Brit. You guys know Britt. He was a triad who lives in Korea now. He is telling us he will be on, okay, for this. So we'll have Britt as well for this discussion, Living Greyhawk Divers, Wednesday night with Anna, Mike, and me. So that's what Casey's telling me, is that Britt is going to come on, which is awesome.
He's probably home.
Okay, so let's hope, Mike, that's yes, and shocking Mike's emotes, which is a good thing. Yep, that's what we're being told. All right, so that's what I'm being told, at least. So that's Wednesday. Thursday night, this is the one Anna has helped me learn how to use Adobe Illustrator, and so I'm getting good with it now. And this is not the correct date. It's the 9th. We finish up rescuing Karen Hills. All right, this week. This was last week's. We finish it up this week. And that'll be on Thursday night. That's with Iron Fury. That's levels 4 and 5. So I'll be right outside Greyhawk in the Karen Hills. We'll finish that up. Okay, here's the big one. Well, let me do the Gabbin. Next week's Gabbin is also going to be fun. Anna and I talked about this. We're going to get back to something. A lot of people who are new to the story here. Oh gosh, look, I didn't update the thing on there. My gosh. I got so much to do. We'll just do it this way. Gabbin at Lord Peakshaven 88 next Sunday, barring a special guest who is not confirmed, which probably is not going to. I'm not going to have one next week, like a great one like Lloyd here. Character originations.
Come on.
We're going to talk. No, seriously, we're going to talk about how our characters start from scratch in our campaign. We're going to talk about the places a lot of characters come from, character histories, deities that are worshipped.
I got an hour and a half on that. If this person cancels, call me.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll have you back next week, man.
Yeah,
just to talk about, but the campaign is. A lot of people are asking me, how do you start from scratch? How do you start with your first level characters in your Order of Yule campaign?
My best character started at level 0 as a 7-year-old kid in the city killing rats under the wharf.
That's a great story.
Yes, it is.
They're good stories or good background is very important. So we're going to talk about that next week, and hopefully that'll be a really cool show, because I know we have a lot of new viewers, especially from GaryCon. So we're going to go back to talking about the campaign, the beginnings of the campaign. So we'll see about that one. Now here's the big one. All right, Saturday nights. I added a Saturday night special. Our first Greyhawk All-Stars D&D Saturday night special. All right, I am going to run a Delve into the Lord's Tomb. And here is the Packard with that. Greyhawk All-Stars event next Saturday, April 11th, 7 p.m. Look at that. Scott Casper, Greyhawk Mike Bridges. The first time they've ever going to be playing in my game. We're going to run this. And here are, real quick, and then we're going to do the giveaway. Here are the characters as of now. So we have Scott playing his human fighter. Yes. Yes, yeah, I know you like that, Scott. Scott Casper playing his human fighter, Boars the Blessed, okay? Double specialized, and Footman's Mace, 8th level fighter.
Human fighter, the most overlooked class race combo ever.
We've tweaked it too. We've tweaked it up a little bit, so we have taunt, we have some shouts. I ripped them off from World of Warcraft. I apologize. Yeah. But it works. It works pretty well. Greyhawk Mike Bridges playing Martin of Narwhal, a 9th level fighter, not thief, 9th level thief. They're cousins, those two. So there you go. He's a dual wielding short sword thief. Tom, if Tom is on, everyone loves Tom as a player, and everyone loves this character. And yes, I'll say his full name. Tom will be playing, and when I went to PAX Unplugged, I just put Rumple down. I didn't want to, if there were a couple teenagers and younger kids playing, but his name is the Gnome Thief Rumple Foreskin. Yes, he will be playing. You like that? Tom, yes.
Love it.
Yeah, so Rumple Foreskin, Tom will be playing in this one. Brian Sublime, our other DM, will be playing a legend, second generation, Samantha Crakesbone, the Undead Hunter, a subclass of Paladin. Oh, she'll be playing that. The enigmatic Alan will be playing Devita, his dark elf, cleric mage thief. Have fun with that, guys. And look at that sheet. 657. Yeah, you're going to love it. But she's neutral good. Second generational character. And then Anna Meyer will be playing, to finish up this. Well, we got two more. We got Tim, too. Anna Meyer will be playing, my gosh, Ertinel Gillart. Did I say that right? A specialty priestess of Mayaheen. Okay, 8th level.
A lot of apostrophes in that.
Yeah. And lastly, it's going to be Heroic Gitano, and you know how this turns out too, because you played in it at PAX Unplugged. Lastly, Tim, the ever mysterious Tim, will be playing a dual class human, Paladin, Cavalier subclass, magic user, but he has not surpassed, so he does no Cavalier abilities. He's a 7th level mage. That's it. Sir Reginald Rathmore, David Errol, Trampier IV, Defender of the Faith, and Vanquisher of the Unrighteous.
Indeed, sir.
Yes. And that's the 7.
It's like a pimp named Slickback. You got to say the whole thing.
That's the group. We have one who's not committed, a big Greyhawk name, and that'll be an 8th character if he says yes. It's a he. If he says yes. Okay.
Yes, Giotano. Some call him Tim.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all, guys. Are you ready? I'm gonna leave this open. Any last second general signups? This is for let's put it right. Let me get that off there. Remove. Let's go to this. So we're going to do this at least once a month while we're all cooped up, and try and keep this going for Greyhawk. And I'm thinking about a Greyhawk virtual con at some point. That's my thought process on this. This is kind of, that sounds like a good idea, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. I'm going to try. I'm going to see if I can organize it with some key people.
And I saw Tabletop Events is staying in business, and it's only $2 to get into a con.
Yes, and they've approached me about streaming some content, and I'm talking about it.
Those guys, Tabletop Events is. Let's talk about that for a quick second. That's like core to GaryCon. It's core to AppleCon. It's core to like a lot of cons. Like I can't say enough good things about Tabletop Events, and like their support team has been quick to respond whenever we got issues. They have become quickly the standard of excellence in tabletop gaming at conventions and virtual conventions, and I really hope everyone hops onto their new what I can't remember what it was called that they just launched to help keep them
Champion
afloat.
Con.
Champion Con. Holy smokes, I'm all in. It's like $2 to be part of that con.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's an offshoot. I'm not associated. I'm not.
No, neither am I. And my only issue is it's on my anniversary weekend. So I got to be very careful.
If you want future anniversaries,
Yes.
you better be careful.
Yes.
All righty. Guys, this was a great show. Lloyd, thank you so very much. And thank you for the generosity. Look, guys, there's the guys and gals, there's the giveaway. There it is. There are 6 publications you will get. Oh, the shirt. Okay, so Bishop ADD1E asks, how do I get a Lord Gazumba collared? Right, guys, because we have the collared shirt. All right.
Swanky.
The easy way to do that is you DM on my channel and you automatically get one. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, you do something momentous for the channel, like Anna has, like Carlos Lysing has. I give one out there, and then I give them out occasionally in certain giveaways. The 2,000th follower giveaway, Wiley Hobbit got one, so he has one. But if you want to talk to me, Bishop, I will on the side. We can work some out. I have some right. You can see them stacked back there. Right back there, I got some still. I get them for Vistaprint. They're very economical. So, but
No, don't tell them that.
That's okay. They're not going to use my. They're not going to give them my logo.
No, I've used some. I used a couple of different things for the cons, and Vistaprint really has like top-notch quality.
Yeah,
things. Yeah, they're the best.
I've also been told that I'm pronouncing Chuck Cumbo's name wrong for an entire year. It's not Cumbo, it's Cumbo. Once again, my South Jersey Ashert the Bear accent has been wrong all this time. Again, I mispronounced someone else's name. So thank you, Chuck, for saying that.
I would like a release for Ashert the Bear to be in my Cluckingham Palace adventure. Honestly,
we'll work something out, Bishop.
Yeah.
If you want to cover shipping or whatever, we'll work it out in costs. There you go. All right, let's do the subscriber giveaway first. Here we go. All right, I got the list down here. I'm going to roll these fumbling and one roll initiative pink dice I got from Stratagem, from the sets that I've been giving away. Thanks, Cuthbert. Thank you so very much. Here we go. First or second group, 1 to 3. All right, it's the first group, first 20. Here goes the die roll. And I will not. There's no reason for me to cheat this, guys. West River Rat, is he on? You must be on. Is West River Rat on? I'm going to look. I'll look because he's a VIP.
Better speak up, sir.
He's on. West River Rat is on. He is on. So there you go for that one. He is on the stream. I see him right there. You have won, and we will get. Yes, you have won the subscriber giveaway right there, West. Congratulations.
Let's get ready to fumble.
Thank you so very much. Now, let me close out the other one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. West, whisper to you have Lloyd. Look for Lloyd. Link your chat in there so he can just whisper right to you.
Okay.
All right, and then whisper to Lloyd email address. Thanks, Bishop. Okay, whisper to Lloyd Metcalf, please. I'm going to close out the general sign up for everyone. And this one, it'll go right in Streamlabs, and we'll see who wins this. It's closed out. All right. Here we go. The winner of the second, it's exact same giveaway, is, and you must be on again. So the winner is the real Dorgrim, another great watcher of us. Dorgrim, are you on? If you're not, you. Oh,
no, he's on. He's on.
He's on. I see him.
He's on.
The real. Yes. All right. Awesome, guy. And you guys are on. That is so awesome. You stayed. Thank you so very much. Keep those cheers coming. Look, we just surpassed another threshold. We got 2 more special hero points for Thursday nights. And guys, save up those cheers for Saturday. They're going to need it. Scott, Casper, and Mike, and Tim. Tim's scared to death. Tim's 20 years ago I ran this, and his dad's character died a horrible death, so he's scared. That's a great.
Yeah, I've already made investments in the resurrection. Resurrection is dead.
Yes, please, those 2 gentlemen, whisper
planning
to Lloyd, who's been so generous to do this. Thanks, Gaetano. Really appreciate it. We'll see you Wednesday night for Legends and Lore. And Lloyd, anything you'd like to say? Last things.
Well, we're all at home. This is the time to check out virtual gaming, to check out, to just try to figure it out. I'm really committing myself to even learning new systems and stuff. So like one-on-one gaming and DM stuff, and just let yourself frig it up and be okay with that because you can learn from that.
Absolutely, you can, and this should give you give everyone hope out there. You gotta without hope, what do you have? But you need to stay sane over this time period. So gaming is a great way to do that, right? Because look, Tim and I especially are right on that edge, all the time. I mean, look at him. Just kidding, Tim. You didn't even have the tongue tool. Yes. So thanks, guys. We will see you Wednesday, and we'll talk over some of the ads here. So,
all right.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
Awesome show, Lloyd. Awesome. I told you. People.
Lloyd, it was fun meeting you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, it's me, Clive Anderson, saying good night. Good night.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad.
Hopefully you got some sign-ups, and maybe you got hung up before.
I haven't even looked at it.
Okay. But thank you, Gary. Thank you, Cuthbert. Thank you, Lo, Bishop. I'll be in touch with you. Shade Mage, DM, Babunsky, Gitano, Gary, Chuck Cumbo. I can't say that. It just sounds wrong. It just sounds wrong. So Dorgrim and West River Rad Clan, congrats on winning each of them. It's a great day.
I have to figure out like how to check my
It'll show up as a little window down at the bottom, I think, a little like message. It'll be a little.
I was looking at it a second ago, and yep, the real Dorgrim, yes, and West River Rat.
Ass hurt the bear. It will live in infamy, DM.
Every time somebody put like one of my icons out, I was saying, "I do love the crit."
Yes, well, that's what it is. Just think about that. You and I each have our heads as emotes now forever.
Yeah. I do love the crit.
Yep.
All right, so I figured out the whisper thing, so we'll get those folks their stuff.
Oh, I just thought of a question I should have asked earlier. I didn't ask.
What's the question?
Dang. What do you do crits? And what system do you use?
Oh my gosh, we should have talked about critical hits.
We didn't talk about critical hits.
Holy shit. How did we miss that? Yeah.
That's what happens on these shows, guys. You know that.
I do crits.
Thank you, Mike.
I
Lloyd,
used to have.
You're too creative.
Glad you like your thief, Mike. Glad you like your fighter, Scott. Appreciate it. I'm really happy that you guys are excited about next Saturday night.
I used to do critical hits then quantified with a percentile table on like how serious it was. And one of my players said, I don't like that it's quantified that way with results. So what we started doing was, yes, there's a critical hit or critical fumble, and you roll a 1d6 with severity, and the DM sort of...
And Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay ones, is that what you use? They're disgusting.
Yes, I've taken
they're
it
grotesque.
from... Well, they're not straight from the... They're a fan base. Somebody put them together. But the guys who wrote them up were medical doctors. So they're just disgusting.
Oh, look, Deville does pretty well with them.
Well, you've won twice now for those crits. Yep. So I'd say they're... I'm converting them over. I mean, like beta, because basically I'm modifying them based on the difference in your level. Let's face it, if I go up against Conor McGregor, I might get a critical, but he's much more likely to get a critical.
Right.
But even though I outweigh him hugely, he is going to crit me up left and right, most likely. So I mean, the severity of a critical. So when Jay's 13th level Cavalier was critical by the second level fighter, it ended up being 4 extra hit points. And when she crit like a pit fiend, she killed it.
Well, I bristled against having something not quantifiable, as in like not 2 times damage or 3 times damage or whatever. But then once we started playing it, like, okay, so you got a critical, you rolled a 4, not terrible, a little more than average, and it really lended itself to storytelling in the game.
Right.
It was a better system than I thought, to have it something that you couldn't quantify with a number.
Yeah.
I expected to hate it. I was working against it until I tried it. I was like, you know what? It's time to try it. It was awesome.
Yeah. And in Warhammer, every time you're hit and your hit points go below 0, you roll in the critical table.
No, it's
And
brutal.
you keep fighting, but now you're suffering whatever injury happened. And every
Yeah.
time you're hit, that number of points below 0 you go determines the intensity of the
Yeah,
crit.
it's nasty.
It's nasty. So we don't do it that way. So I had to kind of modify it. Made a modified table, but it's modified on the difference in your levels, except for missile weapons, because missile weapons are that great randomizer. There is no
you get a critical
modifier.
hit with a missile weapon.
So
and you're-
so
it's
now
really nasty.
a bunch of 20 goblins shooting bows at you. That's 40 chances for a crit in 1 round, and
Yep.
it doesn't matter what level you are, and that's reality.
Yeah.
It is.
Achilles was killed by an arrow. So
Well, if you watch a movie by 4 in the ankle by Orlando Bloom, that's
but
bad.
we don't do that. Honestly, that movie, the fighting gets worse. The best fighting was when he assaulted the temple right off the beach.
Yeah,
Because he was
that
doing
was
some
great
really-
combat.
He was doing great timed countercuts,
And then
and
it
his
slowed
motions
down.
were all real. And then you could tell they lost some choreography time, and
So Gary, if you're still on, we had a half work who got his nose. It was a half work of a fringe player. He got his nose ripped off in a fight. He used to take like an onyx gem and he put it in his nose socket. Come on, that's funny. So with crits, man, we always get the teeth removed all the time. It's always like the dark elf got her teeth knocked out in that fight on Thursday night. Come on, that was
that's
fun.
realistic.
That's very
Realistic,
realistic.
yeah,
So
Which was what a great opportunity for non-weapon proficiency of like a
Dental?
dental.
like
Sort of
Hermie the dentist
surgeon.
and Rudolph the elf.
a gnomish something with some dental proficiencies, like
Oh, that's great.
Put a gold tooth with a little gem on it right there.
yeah,
The original grill.
right, like
Yeah.
like a dwarf with toofuses, like, yes.
All right, guys, what an awesome night. Thank you all so very much. And I may auto host someone. Let's see who's on. We got the auto host automatically go on.
Yeah, you still have 74 on there?
Yeah, I'm sending
love
those
us.
rewards right now as we speak.
Wow.
The mage that's allergic to magic. That's cool.
Mhm.
You gotta, Dorgrim, you gotta be careful with them. You gotta sometimes fudge the rolls early on to get them to buy in. That's what I would do on that. You don't really want to hurt your own players, but so. Yeah, the ads are awesome, man. These are
I've had
all sponsors, guys. Let me tell you something. A lot of people say, "Well, how did you get those?" We talked about this in the streaming technology. I asked. It was that simple. I went to the people and I asked them, you just got to talk to people and know how to communicate.
That's
It's
it.
that
Gary V says you ask 50 people for something and somebody's going to have.
simple. Yeah, absolutely.
I remember my first complaining about criticals, though, was when I had a half ogre with the 2-handed swords, double specialized, got attacked by a giant rat, and got a critical on him, and the rat bit his hand off.
Oh,
And I was like, come on, it's a 1/4 hit die creature. It's not biting my hand off. It's a half ogre.
No,
He's
the
8 feet tall.
The best was the Svart that slit the throat of Alan's half ogre, and he still complains about it. I said, well, you were bending down when you swung, and it jumped up. It's very possible. If you lose your, come on,
Yeah, come on.
here we go.
A level 10 paladin can kick some ass, but you should still be afraid when 100 kobolds swarm you.
Yep. And that's
Well, 100, yeah.
Well, that's out of 100, there's a 5% chance of critical. So,
Right. But I have that slight, yeah. But I've also taken some of Anna's advice on the multiple opponents and how their multiples increase all their bonuses against you. I like that rule also.
yes.
Which rat bit your
Yes,
hand
that's a
off?
good
Did
one.
I have that happen?
I know.
No. That was actually Mark was running it.
All right,
Actually,
so it wasn't me. So Gary,
it was
you
not
can't
you,
blame me.
Jay.
So
Vecna is not in favor of the crit table, says PS.
For that one, Jay, you're not at fault.
all right. Oh, that's good. That's good. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll see you. I'll be on Discord now after this for a little bit, and we're gonna be hanging out a little bit. So I'll talk to you guys all soon. Have a great night, and see you Wednesday.